Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto discovers he also has bloodline with the help of the Kyuubi part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. It was a cold dark night in Konoha, the village hidden in the leaves. Shops were closed, all villages long since retired for the evening. The village was calm, a low wind blowing through, everything was silent, except for the sound of frantic footsteps running through the village. The steps belonged to a young girl, around 8 years old. Short black hair framed a young round face with pale skin. Her pale white pupilless eyes wide with fright, tears streaming down her face as she ran. This girl was none other than Hinata Hyuga, heiress to the Hyuga clan. She kept running through the streets, occasionally looking behind her for any signs of pursuit, but found none. She quickly ducked around the corner of an alley and hid behind a dumpster, sitting down to catch her breath. As she stopped, the events of the night started to rush through her head, tears streaming faster down her cheeks. She let out a low whimper as she clutched her legs to her chest. "To-san," she cried out softly as she began to go over the events of the evening. Hinata was standing with her father, dressed in a formal kimono as was tradition with the Hyuga clan. Her little sister Hanabi clung to her side. "I trust everything is prepared," Hayashi said to the elder. "We will be performing the sealing ritual tonight?" "Of course, Hayashi-sama," replied the elder with a slight bow. Tonight was the night that they were going to begin the sealing ritual to place the caged bird seal upon Neji Hyuga, son of Hisashi. The boy had become cold and dangerous since his father's death. They needed to control him as he showed true promise as a Hyuga. Little did Hayashi know that the elder also had a different plan in mind. The side branch had become too large, and were frankly starting to become a burden on the main Hyuga family. The branch family were considered much weaker than the main branch, and were not seen of much use besides as servants. The decision had been made to annihilate the side branch family. They could always recruit some civilians to do the menial tasks that were beneath the main family. Both men turned and began to make their way towards the dojo of the Hyuga house. It was a very large room, able to fit all Hyuga clan members for sparring or teachings. When they entered the room, all the branch members were on one side, all with their heads bowed down, while the main branch were all on the other side with their heads held up. Hinata was ushered by her father to take her seat with her sister among the main branch members. The far end of the room, there were 3 spots awaiting the top 3 members of the Hyuga clan. The first was the elder that was walking with Hayashi, an old surly man who held the main branch above the side branch in every aspect. He considered them little more than trash. The second would be Hayashi Hyuga, father of Hinata and Hanabi Hyuga, current clan head of the Hyuga clan. He was a stern but fair man. He always demanded the best out of anyone, be they main branch or side branch. Finally, in the third seat, sat a man with short black hair up in a spike at the back of his head. He had a soft face with a scar reaching from above his right eye, crossing across his face, in between his eyes and ending below his left eye. He wore a lavender vest with the Hyuga crest on the back, followed by standard shinobi blue pants and sandals. He wore lavender fingerless gloves on his hands. These gloves were special in that they allowed him to use his juken through them as well as charging any he touched with his chakra. His name was Koga Hyuga. Koga was special among the Hyuga. He was a main branch member who cared deeply for the side branch, and did not care at all for the main branch. This ritual sickened him. He did not think that the circumstance of your birth should determine your fate within the clan. Since, after all, he was a side branch member. He had proven his worth by becoming the strongest Hyuga to ever grace them. They had attempted to put the caged bird seal, but for reasons that had baffled the previous elders, they could not. It would simply disappear quickly. Hayashi and the elder took their places next to Koga. "I still don't know why we insist on this despicable practice," Koga said to no one in particular. "It is a tradition, Koga," Hayashi stated. "The side branch must serve the main branch of the Hyuga." Although even he thought the practice could use some updating. Koga simply huffed. "We shall now begin the sealing ritual," the elder started. "Neji Hyuga, please step forward and sit in front of Hayashi." A young boy, around the age of 9, with long black hair, rose from the side of the branch family and walked his way toward the center of the room, his face betraying no emotion. He sat down in front of Hayashi. "Neji Hyuga, as a member of the side branch, you will now have the caged bird seal placed on your head," Hayashi stated. He ran through a series of hand seals. Once he was finished, his hands started to glow a dark green color. He then placed his palm on Neji's head. Suddenly, Hayashi felt someone gripping his hand. He looks over to his right to see Koga, veins around his eyes, with his hand clenched around his arm, his chakra being cut off. "Koga! What is the meaning of this?" Hayashi yelled, but before he received an answer there was a quick juken strike to his chest, destroying this heart faster than Hayashi could react. "Side branch. Now!" Koga yelled as he turned towards the elder. All the side branch members leapt to their feet and began to rush the main branch members, weapons in hand. As he was about to reach the elder, he saw a sickening smirk appear on the elder's face. He raised his arms into a tiger seal and said, "Death." Koga's eyes went wide and oh! He yelled, stopping his attack to look around. All around him the side branch members all clutched their heads, screaming before they all fell to the ground, a vacant expression in their eyes, all dead, gone. The elder just laughed. "You are too late, Koga. I had anticipated for you to attempt your little uprising and took measures against it," he said with a smirk. Koga closed his eyes and clenched his fists. Slow tears starting to come out. He slowly turned to face the elder and slowly opened his eyes. The elder could only gasp. There before him where the Byakugan should be, were multicolored eyes with a flower petal shape in the center. "How can this be?" he gasped, staring at Koga. "How do you have the Tensigen?" Koga said nothing as he rushed towards the elder. The elder quickly yelled out an order, "Kill him!" before he was struck several times in the blink of an eye by the Jukin, destroying his internal organs. Hinata could only watch with horror as the events unfold, tears starting to stream down her face. Niji quickly got up and ran towards her. "Hinata-sama! Grab Hanabi and let's get out of here," he said, snapping Hinata out of her daze. She quickly grabbed Hanabi's hand, who was also shaking. The three of them got up and started to run away as the main branch began to rush at Koga. Koga was mercilessly fighting the main branch members, parrying Jukin-empowered attacks thanks to his specialized gloves that allowed him to negate chakra by pushing an equal amount of his own into them. Koga threw 3 quick jabs at a clan member in front of him, hitting the heart and lungs. He quickly ducked, avoiding another strike while simultaneously bringing his open palm up into the man's chin, shoving chakra through his brain, destroying it. He quickly elbowed behind him, sending more chakra through another member. Dashing in between members and exploding organs with every strike, he was a force to be reckoned with. Finally, with one final strike, he felled the last clan member in the dojo. Byakugan still active, he looked around to see 3 small figures running towards the compound boundaries. He quickly took off in their direction. Hinata, Niji and Hanabi were running towards a hidden exit to the compound. It was specifically designed to conceal anybody inside, even from the Byakugan. Niji opened the entrance. "Get inside and keep running," he instructed. Hinata was shaking, but she knew she needed to leave. "See, come on, Hanabi," she said through her panic. Hanabi had started crying. She was scared and didn't know what was going on. "What about Tu-san?" Hanabi asked. Hinata just gulped and shook her head. She knew he was gone. Quickly, Niji said, his Byakugan active. "I can see he is finished with all the main branch members." Hinata's eyes went wide as she started to lead Hanabi into the hole. Once Hanabi was safely inside, she climbed herself down. She looked up at Niji expectantly. "Niji and I-san, see, come with us." He simply smiled a sad smile and shook his head. "I promised my father I would protect you," he said, "and that's what I intend to do." He quickly went through some hand seals and the opening began to close. "Niji and I-san." Hinata cried as the hole filled up and she was completely sealed underground. Hinata let a few more tears out of her eyes before she gripped Hanabi's hand. "Let's go," she said. Hanabi clenched her fist back. "Where is Niji and I-san?" she asked. Hinata just gave her a weak smile and said, "He'll be meeting up with us," she said, even though she didn't believe it herself. They ran through the tunnel, Hinata leading Hanabi by the end until they came to a ladder. Hinata started to climb up to a hatch. Hinata started to open the hatch and look around. She could only see a rock wall in front of her. She looked up to discover she was in front of the Hokage monument. She climbed out of the hole and instructed Hanabi to follow. Once she climbed out, Hinata replaced the cover and turned to Hanabi. "Hanabi," she said, "I need you to run to the Hokage tower and get their help to the Hyuga compound, okay?" she said, trying her best to not let her voice waver. She needed to be strong for her sister. "No! I won't leave you!" she cried. "Hanabi, please, I'm going to run towards the center of the village and try to distract him if he's following. He can't chase us both," she said, a bit less confidently. She wasn't sure she could outrun Koga. Hanabi simply stiffened her lip and nodded before turning and running towards the Hokage tower. Hinata simply shook, then stood up and began to run. She didn't know where, but she had to get some distance from the Hokage tower. Now here she was, sitting next to a dumpster in an alley, crying, trying to figure out what to do. She was still thinking and crying when she heard a familiar voice call her name. "Hinata?" She looked up to see a blonde-haired boy with whisker marks on his face, bright blue eyes staring directly at her. "Another round!" the boy yelled, sitting at the ramen stand, clutching an empty bowl. He had messy blonde hair, whisker marks on his face, fierce deep blue eyes and a side smile on his face. Clad in his usual orange jumpsuit, Naruto Uzumaki was enjoying his sixth bowl of ramen, or more, and just finished enjoying it. "Sorry kid," said Tucci, the old man, owner of the ramen stand. "I gotta close up shop for the night." Naruto whined, "But I was still hungry." Tucci just laughed. "Tell you what, tomorrow night, I'll give you one on the house," he said with a smile. Naruto beamed and practically jumped out of his seat. "Thanks, old man," he yelled before fishing out his wallet and placing the money on the counter. "See you later, Naruto," the old man said before shutting down the lights and closing his stand for the evening. Naruto was walking, hands behind his head, going towards his home. What should I do now?" he thought, aimlessly wandering around the alleyways. He had started avoiding the main streets during the night. He had been attacked by random drunk villagers in the past, he still wasn't entirely sure why. "Guess I'll just go home," he thought with a sigh when suddenly he could hear a faint sound that caught his attention. It was a soft crying, high-pitched, as if it was a girl. He quickly rounded the corner and looked down to see a girl about his age, with short black hair wearing a lavender kimono. She was sitting down with her knees up to her chest, and she was crying. "Hinata? What's she doing out so late?" he thought, seeing the girl. He could remember seeing her a few times at the academy, as well that incident a few years ago when he confronted some bullies who were teasing her about her eyes, destroying his red scarf at the time. He walked closer to her and bent down in front of her. "Hinata?" he called out, inches from her face. She stopped crying for a moment and peered up at him with tear-stained eyes. She stifled a whimper as she looked up at him. "What's wrong?" he asked, concern plastered on his face. "Naruto-kun," she said, forgetting her shyness and latching on to him. She was scared, she was horrified, she just needed someone to comfort her right now. "Whoa! Hey, what's wrong?" he said, grabbing onto her shoulders. She just continued to sob into his shoulder, clutching his sweater. He just held on to her, not sure what to do. He had never had anyone react like this, but something told him that right now, he needed to be quiet and just let her cry. Suddenly he could hear footsteps coming from the main street. He looked over to see several shinobi running up the street. None of them paying attention to him. He knew they needed to get out of there. Something was wrong and he didn't want them to be caught in the middle of it. "Hinata," he said calmly but sternly. She stopped crying for a moment and looked at him. "We need to get out of here." She simply nodded and stood up, still holding onto his chest. He grabbed onto her hand and started leading her through the alleyway. "This way," he said, pulling her along. She blushed and allowed herself to be pulled. He led her through the alleyways and up the stairway of a building to his apartment. He opened the door and led her inside. It was a small apartment. Immediately in front was a small living room with a couch and table. There was a kitchen off to the side, and in the back you could see two doors, one leading to a bathroom and the other Naruto's bedroom. He led her over to the couch and sat her down. Hinata looked around and her face went bright red. "I'm in Naruto-kun's apartment," she thought, but quickly shook her head to clear her blush. Naruto ran to the back to grab a blanket, returning and wrapping it around her. Naruto sat down on the other end of the couch and asked Hinata what happened. She paused for a moment before the events of the night came rushing back to her. Tears flowing back to the surface, she put her head in her hands and started crying again. Naruto jumped up. "Ah! I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you cry," he yelled, waving his arms in front of him. Hinata stopped crying for a moment, then looked at him before answering. "And my father and Niji and my whole clan they're all dead," she was able to choke out before starting to cry again. Naruto just sat there, stunned. Had he heard her right? Did she say her whole clan was dead? But they were Hyuga. They were strong. "Hinata," he began. "Did you say they are all dead?" he repeated, making sure he heard right. Hinata simply nodded into her hands. She couldn't bear to speak right now. Naruto looked down, shocked and angry. Who could have done such a thing, an entire clan? "How did you get out?" he asked, looking at her, concern on his face. Hinata stopped crying and looked down. "Niji sacrificed himself to have us escape," she started before her eyes went wide and she jumped up. "Hanabi!" she exclaimed. "Please, Naruto-kun, we have to find Hanabi. My little sister," she pleaded. He jumped up. "What do you mean, find her? Where is she?" he asked. "I sent her to the Hokage tower to get help," she exclaimed. As she ran for the door, her kimono got caught on the couch, causing her to trip and tearing the kimono. As she fell, she felt a sharp pain in her ankle as she landed. "Hinata!" he said, rushing next to her. Her ankle badly bruised and looked like it was twisted. Hinata bit her lip and tried to stand up. She started to get to her feet when her ankle gave out and she fell down again. Naruto catching her this time. She looked like she was in a panic. Hinata! Naruto started, "You can't walk on that," leading her back to the couch. "I have to," she said with a slight blush at being in his arms. "I have to find my sister," she said again, with more determination. He simply looked at her and nodded. He had made up his mind. He was going to find Hanabi. He let go of her, then stood up, heading for the door. "Wait here, Hinata," he said. "I'll go find her," he declared, giving her a thumbs up with a huge grin, before walking out the door and closing it behind him. Naruto was running through the village as fast as he could, keeping to his usual sneaky routes to the Hokage Tower. Being a natural prankster combined with being hated by the villagers caused him to find low-traveled routes that kept him out of sight. Being a ninja also helped with this, as he had better dexterity than most, able to jump onto roofs and climb higher walls. "I've got to find her. If every other Hyuga is gone, she might still be in danger," he thought when he was interrupted by another thought and stopped running. "Arg, I don't know what she looks like," he exclaimed, clutching his head. He hadn't thought to ask Hinata before leaving. He began to ponder, hand on his chin. Well, if she's Hinata's little sister, then she would probably have the same color hair, and she's a Hyuga, so she has those eyes. Suddenly he got an image of Hinata in his mind. Her lavender eyes looking into his. She looked so vulnerable, so pretty, he thought. He quickly shook his head. Where did that come from? He wondered before resuming his run. An older man sat in his office, one hand on the pipe to his mouth, the other holding a piece of paper in his hand. He frowned at the paper in front of him while he took a long inhale of his pipe. The man was the third Hokage of Konoha, pondering on what to do with the mountain of paperwork in front of him. He simply sighed and replaced the paper back on his desk before leaning back. It had been a long day, longer still that he had a lot of work to catch up on. He was sitting back relaxing when he heard small footsteps running through the halls, getting closer to his door. Strange, he thought, there shouldn't be any students around at this hour. As he was pondering, he heard a quiet, but frantic, tapping on the door. "Enter," he said, and the door slowly opened to reveal Hanabi Hyuga, tears down her face, eyes betraying her fear. He quickly jumped out of his seat and kneeled down in front of the girl. She's a Hyuga, he thought. Hinata? No, she's too young, so Hanabi then? What's wrong, dear? He said to the girl. She sniffed back some tears and began. One of the elders started attacking the clan. She started, he's killing everyone. Me and my sister Hinata escaped, but there are still people there. Please help them. She beckoned before crying into her hands. The Hokage's eyes went wide and he signaled for his umbu. Two figures appeared from seemingly nowhere, both wearing masks and long robes. Hokage-sama, one of them said. I want every available Jonin to the Hyuga compound immediately. They are to apprehend the elder and rescue anybody they can. The umbu both nodded and disappeared. He turned back to the girl. She looked exhausted and scared. He calmly placed a hand on the back of her head and pulled her into a hug. There, you are safe now, he said, holding on to the quivering child. He led her over to the couch in the corner of his office. He laid her down on the couch, fetching a blanket from a nearby cabinet, and placed it over her. She quickly fell asleep. The Hokage returned to his desk, waiting for news from his umbu when he heard the sound of small steps again, this time faster and a bit harder. His years of dealing with him made the Hokage quickly realize who it was that was coming. Old man Naruto yelled, bursting through the door. Something is happening with the Hyugas, and I found Hinata, and now I'm looking for her sister, and I don't know where she is. He yelled very quickly. The Hokage simply told Naruto to quiet down and pointed at the girl on the couch. Naruto ran over and looked at her. Is this Hinata's sister? He asked the Hokage. The man nodded. Yes, Naruto, that is her younger sister Hanabi, he finished. Naruto just stared at her and felt a relief wash over him. Where is Hinata? The Hokage asked, looking sternly at Naruto. He stiffened a bit and answered slowly, she's safe at my apartment, but she injured her ankle, he said. The Hokage simply nodded. Good, now Naruto, bring Hanabi back with you to your apartment. The three of you will stay there tonight until I can get this figured out. Report back here in the morning, the Hokage said. Naruto's eyes went huge and a blush started to cover his face. You want girls to stay in my apartment? He asked. He had never had a girl over before. The Hokage smiled. Is that a problem, Naruto? He said. Naruto just stood there blushing, looking down at the floor. He grumbled a no. Good. The Hokage said, just wake her up gently, you may have to carry her, she's quite exhausted. The Hokage said. Naruto walked over to Hanabi and started poking her face. Nay, wake up Hanabi, he said. The girl slowly opened her lavender eyes and stared at him. She quickly jumped up with a kaya and a blush on her face. Naruto also jumped back at her reaction. The Hokage simply sweat dropped at their antics. Before speaking to Hanabi, he started to get her attention. She looked over at him. This is Naruto, he's an orphan boy from the village. He was able to find your sister and bring her to his apartment. You will be staying with your sister and Naruto for tonight until I can find a better place for you, he said. She just nodded with a blush over her face. I know you are tired, so Naruto here is going to carry you to his apartment, okay? Hanabi's blush deepened and just nodded. The Hokage looked at Naruto and gestured with his pipe. Well? He asked. Naruto grumbled a bit, then turned around and bent down in front of Hanabi. She slowly grabbed onto his shoulder and he lifted her up on his back. She squeaked a bit at the sudden movement but held on. You ready, Hanabi-chan? He said, trying to calm her down. She nodded into his neck and he started to leave the Hokage tower. Naruto was jumping from rooftop to rooftop with Hanabi on his back, making his way back to his apartment. He quickly glanced behind him at Hanabi. Her eyes were looking down sadly. You okay, Hanabi? He asked. She just nodded. Is my sister really okay? She asked. Naruto smiled widely. Of course. I found her. I'm a super strong ninja, you know. He beamed. She smiled lightly at this and held tighter. Will my clan be okay? She asked. Naruto hesitated a moment, looking down. Of course they will, he replied, although he wasn't so sure of that himself. The Hokage wouldn't let anything bad happen, he said. She again just simply nodded. When they arrived at the apartment, they found Hinata trying to make some tea, her injured leg not helping. She heard the door open and quickly spun around to see Naruto with Hanabi clinging to his back. She had an instant look of relief as Naruto placed her down, and Hanabi ran straight and Hinata for a hug and began crying again. Nei-chan! She cried, hugging Hinata. Hinata wrapped her arms around Hanabi and let a tear roll out of her eye. Hanabi, she said, patting the girl's head. Hinata looked over at Naruto, who was just standing by the door. Thank you, Naruto-kun, she said, with a smile on her face. Naruto could only stare at her. She really is pretty, he thought. Naruto-kun? She asked. He quickly snapped out of his daze with a slight blush on his face before speaking. The old man said you guys should stay here tonight, he said. Hinata's eyes went wide and her whole face went red. Stay here with Naruto-kun? She thought this proved to be a bit much for her, as she started to faint. Whoa! Hinata! Naruto said, running over to catch her, Hanabi looking up at her sister confused. Naruto caught her just as she was about to faint, causing her blush to deepen further if that was possible, and she was out. Is she okay? Hanabi asked. Naruto just looked at the girl in his arms. I think she's just tired, he said, picking her up and carrying her over to his bedroom with Hanabi following. He placed her down on the bed. You guys sleep in here tonight, he said, turning to leave the room. I'll go sleep on the couch, he smiled, closing the door behind him. Hanabi crawled into the bed next to her sister and quickly fell asleep. The Hokage was standing, staring out the window when he heard someone appear behind him. Report, the man said. The Umbu hesitated for a moment and started. We investigated the compound they started. It was a massacre. There are bodies everywhere. We have checked the whole compound. We found no survivors. He ended. The Hokage closed his eyes. This was a tragedy. One of the strongest clans in Konoha, wiped out in a single night. Who did it? The Hokage asked. We aren't fully certain, but Koga Hyuga's body was not among the deceased, the Umbu answered. Find him. The Hokage simply answered. The Umbu just nodded and disappeared. The Hokage sat down in his chair, hands on his head. It was going to be a longer night than he had originally thought. The sun was starting to rise on Konoha. Small rays of light were beginning to shine down on the village. A few rays crept through the curtains of Naruto's room to lay softly upon Hinata's face. She scrunched her face before opening her eyes slightly. She looked around confused for a moment, as her eyes adjusted to the room she was in. She was beginning to wonder where she was when she felt a weight on her stomach. Looking down, she saw Hanabi clinging to her, sleeping peacefully. She began to remember the events of the previous evening and realized she was still in Naruto's apartment, causing her to blush slightly. She gently pushed Hanabi off of her onto the bed, letting her rest further. She got out of bed and entered the living room to see a sleeping Naruto on the couch. Limbs hanging off the couch in every which direction, a small trickle of drool coming out of his mouth. She giggled softly to herself before she heard someone knock on the door. Naruto had awoken from a knock, startling him and causing him to fall off the bed. What the he mumbled as he heard the offending noise again. He quickly got up, still dressed in his pajamas and nightcap, to open the door. Opening the door, he was greeted by a red and white robe as the Hokage looked down at him with a smile. "Good morning, Naruto," the Hokage said with a smile. Naruto just glared at him with barely open eyes. "It's so early," he whined, noticing the Hokage had a bag in his hands. "What's that?" he asked. "I was able to recover some clothes from the Hyuga compound for the two girls standing behind you," the Hokage said with a smirk on his face. Naruto said, rubbing the back of his head before his eyes bugged out of his head and he whipped around. There stood Hinata and Hanabi, both with a small blush and smile on their faces. Naruto just blushed and then ran into his bedroom to change, slamming the door. "He's quite the character," the Hokage said, looking at the girls. "Did you two get enough sleep?" "Hi, Hokage-sama," they both answered with a light bow. The Hokage let his smile fall and sighed. "Once you are finished getting ready, come to the Hokage Tower. I need to discuss something with the three of you," he said, with a solemn look on his face. Both girls looked sad as they could guess what the conversation was going to be about. After the Hokage left, the girls showered and got changed while Naruto waited in the living room while making ramen to eat. The three of them all ate instant ramen as that was the only thing Naruto had in his apartment. They all left and started to make their way towards the Hokage Tower. Nay, Naruto started. "What do you think he wants to talk about?" he asked loudly, looking at them both expectantly. They both just looked at their feet with saddened eyes. Naruto, seeing this reaction, decided it was better to just wait until they arrived. At the Hokage Tower, they all entered the Hokage's office. The third was sitting there waiting for them. "Close the door," he instructed. Naruto turned and closed them. "So what is this about, old man?" Naruto questioned. The Hokage looked at all three of them, he sighed and began speaking. "I'm sorry to say this, Hinata, Hanabi. We checked out the Hyuga compound last night. Unfortunately, there were no survivors of the attack," he said. All three children in front of him froze. Hinata's eyes began to water and Hanabi full out started crying again, dropping to her knees. Naruto was simply standing there with his mouth wide. "Hinata," the Hokage continued, "do you know how this all started?" he asked. Hinata shuffled around with her fingers before answering. "It was Koga, one of the elders," she replied, throat catching. "During Nijianai-san's ritual, he attacked and she killed my father. The other elder then activated all the curse seals of the family, killing all the side branch members." The Hokage was quietly listening but could feel pain inside. Hinata continued, tears starting to fall from her eyes. "After that, Koga just attacked all the main branch members. Nijianai-san helped me and Hanabi escape through a tunnel. He stayed behind to protect our retreat," she said, tears freely flowing down her face. Did you find Nijianai-san?" she asked. The Hokage closed his eyes and nodded. Hinata was crestfallen. Why had she been spared? Why did Niji have to sacrifice himself for someone like her? Naruto stood there, taking all of that information in. He could see she was in pain. He saw in her face the pain he used to feel. He did the only thing he could think of. He walked up and gave her a hug. At first she was surprised by the contact and stiffened, but then loosened into his arms, letting herself cry into his shoulder. Hanabi was sitting on the ground with her hands over her face crying. The Hokage gave them a moment to grieve before starting. "As of right now, we can't have you living at the Hyuga compound. It is still a crime scene. However, we were able to recover some of your personal belongings." He motioned to some suitcases in the corner of the room. "I also can't have you staying in Naruto's small apartment," he continued. "However, since you two seem to have grown fond of him, I have arranged for the apartment next to his for you two to live in," he finished. Nobody had wanted to live next to the demon child, so the apartment had always been vacant. He had seen them interact before. It was probably for the best to have them stay close to each other, especially with their current mental state as unknown. They calmed down a bit, and were able to process the information. Naruto was still hugging Hinata. She then pushed away. "Hi, Hokage-sama," she replied. She liked the idea of being close to Naruto. He felt like a small ray of warmth against the cold she was feeling. "I'll have someone deliver your belongings there," the Hokage continued. Hinata simply nodded and put a hand on Hanabi's head. She began to calm down and looked up at her sister. "We're going to live next to Oniai-chan," Hanabi said. Hinata just nodded as he helped her stand up and the three of them left the Hokage tower. Once the trio had left, the Hokage called his Umbu down once again. "Summon Toshi Inuzuka, Rika Aburame and Itachi Uchiha," he said. The Umbu just nodded and disappeared. A few moments later, the Hokage had the three of them assembled in his office. Toshi Inuzuka was wearing a leather jacket with the standard Jonin flak jacket over top and black pants with standard ninja shoes. He had long black hair, with a goatee and hard facial features. He is a man that had seen plenty of battle. By his side stood a large black and brown Doberman with a scar down his right eye named Biruto. Rika Abdurrahim was wearing a long off-white grayish trench coat going down to her knees. Standard dark blue ninja pants with black ninja boots. She had bandages wrapped around her ankles going down under her boots. She had long black hair and her trench coat hid the bottom half of her face while her eyes were covered with a set of black tinted goggles. And finally, standing next to them was Itachi Uchiha. Wearing his standard Konoha Umbu outfit, long black hair tied in a ponytail behind his head. Long lines down his face under black eyes and stoic expression. "You called for us, Hokage-sama," Itachi began. "Yes," he began. "Your mission is to go out and apprehend Koga Hyuga, dead or alive. This is to be an S-rank mission. He is wanted for treason against Konoha as well as mass murder of his clan." Toshi's eyes widened, whilst Rika and Itachi betrayed no emotion. "Are you serious?" Toshi exclaimed. "He actually killed his whole clan?" "I'm afraid so," the Hokage replied. "As of last night, the Hyuga clan are no more except for two young girls. Hinata and Hanabi were the only two survivors." The three ninjas stood in silence. Itachi had considered a similar act upon his clan once, but the third was able to negotiate peace with his clan to avoid the coup. "What do we know of Koga Hyuga?" Rika asked, voice emotionless. "He is a Hyuga, therefore, possesses the Byakugan and is a master of the Juken. He has the special ability of closing all tenketsu in a limb with a single strike. It does not need to be precise. He is extremely agile and a quick thinker. He rivals Itachi in terms of speed, strength, and ability. He is a branch member of the family, and should have had the curse seal applied to him. However, every time they did so, it would disappear the next day." The Hokage finished. Itachi raised an eyebrow at the last comment. Was Koga truly that powerful? "You will depart immediately. Send a report every day on your location and progress. Toshi, you can go to the Hyuga compound to try and find his scent." Dismissed. The Hokage finished. "Hi, Hokage-sama," the three chimed in unison before exiting the building. The next few weeks in Konoha passed by quickly. Hinata and Hanabi got themselves settled into their new apartment, both of them trying to forget the events they were forced to live through. The Hokage had received steady reports from Itachi's team. They had tracked Koga to the edge of the fire country, but then the reports suddenly stopped. The Hokage waited for news, but none seemed to arrive. Weeks turned into months, months into years. He was forced to send another team to find them. What they discovered was a grisly sight. Toshi's and Rika's bodies were both discovered, several internal and external injuries. Toshi was missing an arm, both their hearts had exploded from the inside. Biruto's body was also found, with his brain liquefied from the inside. Itachi's body was never discovered. The Hokage pronounced the team killed in action, with Itachi's whereabouts still missing. The children spent most of their days at the academy, going through classes as normal. Hinata was mostly depressed during this time. She had tried to seclude herself and be alone, but Naruto didn't seem to let her be. Being his loud, hyperactive self, he was always trying to spend time with the two girls. Getting them to train with him, walk to the academy with him, and generally just be around each other. At first Hinata was reluctant, but eventually started accepting his company. The three of them had started to grow close, always being around each other. Hanabi had started to call him Oniai-chan and considered him like a big brother. Hinata's crush for him, on the other hand, had deepened into a much stronger affection. She didn't see him like a brother as Hanabi did. It was much more than that. He had talked with her, comforted her, and was just there for her, now, when she needed it the most. Naruto as well had discovered his feelings for her. He had gotten to know her well and felt the bond they shared, both now being orphaned, nobody to come home to, no parents to guide them. They had started acting a bit like a family. Hinata would cook food for them all, insisting that Naruto needed to eat more than just ramen. Neither of them would admit their feelings for each other, but they nonetheless enjoyed each other's company. Naruto had a newfound vigor to his training. He had always trained with becoming Hokage as his only goal, but now, things were different. There was one night he had a nightmare about losing Hinata and Hanabi. He had awoken in a cold sweat. It had terrified him. Now, every time he trained, he had vowed to never let anything happen to either of them. He had begun to train so hard, in fact, he worked himself to exhaustion on multiple occasions. On one such occasion he had passed out and entered his mindscape. He had awoken in a sewer-like tunnel. The area felt cold and damp. The walls were covered in pipes and he could see water dripping from them into the few inches of water on the ground. Naruto, he heard someone call his name, echoing through the halls. It was a deep voice that had an aura of power to it, intimidating, but not evil. Who's there? He yelled at nothing in particular. Come to me, Naruto, he heard it again, this time, with more direction. He began to walk towards the voice. Every hallway he turned down seemed the same, and yet, he didn't feel lost, like he knew where he was going. After some time he eventually came to a large room with a cage on the opposite end, going from floor to ceiling. In the center of the cage, seemingly holding it shut, was a large seal. Two large red eyes opened from behind the cage, a large toothy grin forming in between them. It was about time you found your way here, the mouth spoke. Naruto stood there, mouth agape, with his eyes wide open. What are you? Naruto was able to stutter out. The face smirked as the darkness around it began to dissipate, revealing more and more features. The eyes and mouth were connected to an orange snout, going back to reveal a fox-like body with 9 giant tails swirling behind it. Kyuubi! Naruto exclaimed, staring wide-eyed. That's right, Kit, the fox stated. But you're dead. The fourth killed you. Where am I? What's going on? What are you doing here? Naruto yelled all his questions seemingly at once, waving his arms and looking around frantically. Settle down, brat. The fox yelled, causing Naruto to fall over onto his butt. I'll explain everything. Naruto sat there with his legs crossed, eyeing the fox suspiciously. He crossed his arms. Why should I believe you? He said, face scrunched into a frown. You don't have to believe me, just listen. The fox answered with a growl. Naruto thought for a moment, and then just nodded. Do you know why the villagers hate you? The fox asked. Naruto just shook his head. It is because of me. We are currently in your mindscape. I was not killed those 12 years ago. I was sealed within you. Sealed? Naruto asked, confused. Kit, lift up your shirt and concentrate your chakra into your stomach. The fox continued. Naruto did as he was told and gasped when he saw the seal appear. His surprise turned to sadness and anger. But why me? He whispered. The fourth was not willing to ask someone to sacrifice a child he was not willing to do himself. He chose his son, in the hopes that you would be able to use my power. Naruto jerked his head upwards to stare at the fox wide-eyed, mouth agape. Son? I'm the fourth son? Naruto was able to choke out. As I was being sealed, I made a promise to him that I would take care of you. When you are ready, come see me again and I'll do what I can to train you to use my power. The fox continued. If you are going to train me, I'm ready now, Naruto yelled at the fox. The fox blinked for a moment before a grin formed on his face. Very well, I suppose I can teach you about your bloodline, he started. Naruto just looked confused. You mean like the Byakugan? He asked, a smile starting to form on his face. He was getting excited. He had a cool bloodline. Not quite, yours is a little different. The Uzumaki clan has a special innate ability with seals, the fox continued. Hand seals are also a part of that. Once you've learned what seals are necessary for the technique, you don't need them. You can cast any ninjutsu you wish without the need for hand signs. He finished. Naruto stared at him wide-eyed. Could he really have something that awesome? But I've always used hand seals, he said, confused. He had never been very good at it either. Just think about what you want to do and visualize the seals in your mind. So long as you use the right amount of chakra, the jutsu will cast. Just think about it, kid. Looks like our time is up. And with that, Naruto slowly felt himself be pulled out of his mindscape and he awoke on the training field. Months had passed since Naruto's first encounter with the fox. He had maintained his training and eventually figured out how to talk to the fox at will. He had taught him many things about his Kekkei Genkai as well as chakra control and even a few jutsus. Due to the fox's influence, Naruto had also discovered that his bloodline also had all of the chakra natures. In that time, he had learned how to use some low-level techniques as well as a few elemental ones without seals. No large techniques, much to the boy's annoyance since he didn't have as much control or knowledge necessary to perform some of the larger ones. Hinata had refined her Juken perfectly. She could perform the stance easily and even activate her Byakugan without seals. She was able to acquire a few scrolls from the Hokage after they had been retrieved from the Hyuga compound. She had found about the fox and of Naruto's lineage from him. He had been reluctant to tell her at first, afraid of her reaction, but she had accepted him wholeheartedly, going so far as to hug him and hold him tight when he had told her about it, even though it had taken every ounce of her courage to do so. She had gotten a new resolve. She had vowed to keep up with him so that she could stand by his side. Naruto had started to do much better at the academy since that time. All his training with the fox and Hinata had dramatically increased his ability. He had gone from dead last to one of the top in the class in terms of power, although his written test still had much to be desired. This sudden dramatic change had caught the attention of one particular child. Current top of the class and heartthrob of all the girls in the class, minus Hinata. He had dark raven hair that spiked back in the back of his head with bangs framing his face. He usually wore a bored, arrogant expression on his face. The boy was Sasuke Uchiha, younger brother of Itachi Uchiha, and current heir to the Uchiha clan with Itachi's disappearance. He had started to observe Naruto and Hinata both when he had stumbled upon them at the training grounds sparring together. The area seemed to radiate a sense of power between the two. He had also noticed something peculiar about them. Hinata's eyes were different, with veins bulging around them. He knew of the Byakugan, but had never seen it in action. He knew the Hyuga were considered to be one of the most powerful clans in the village, had been. He had also witnessed Naruto use jutsus with seemingly no hand signs. This had intrigued and bothered him to no end. How could a regular orphan boy possess such a power? He had to find out. Hinata stopped her spar with Naruto as she saw something with her Byakugan. "Naruto-kun, someone is coming," she said, looking directly at Sasuke. "Damn, Sasuke thought I was hoping to be discreet." "Who is it?" Naruto asked. "Sasuke-kun," she replied. Naruto furrowed his brow and crossed his arms. He looked over in the direction she was looking to see Sasuke emerge from behind a tree, staring at him. "What do you want, team?" Naruto asked, glaring at him. "I saw you use a jutsu without hand signs. I know it's possible, but you shouldn't be able to do it, loser." Sasuke started. "So how did you do it?" he asked. Naruto thought for a moment, then had a fun thought. He grinned. "I'll tell you if you can beat me in a fight," Naruto exclaimed. Sasuke just smirked. "You're on," he exclaimed. Both ninjas took a fighting stance while Hinata looked worried. Naruto took a quick glance at her and smiled. "Don't worry, Hinata, I won't beat him too badly." Sasuke smirked. "As if you could beat me." He charged at Naruto, aiming to end it quickly with a punch to the face. As he was about to make contact, Naruto deflected his fist to the side and quickly landed an open palm strike to his chest, causing him to double back. He swept the ground under Sasuke, causing him to fall down. In an instant he had jumped on top of Sasuke, his fist an inch from Sasuke's nose. Sasuke just stared up, eyes wide. "You lose," Naruto said. With a smirk, he got off of Sasuke and offered his hand. Sasuke frowned and grit his teeth, swatted Naruto's hand away and got up on his own. "This isn't over," he said with anger in his eyes before he left the training field. The pair watched as Sasuke ran away, clearly displeased with the outcome of the duel. Why was he so interested? Naruto asked with a frown. He never knew Sasuke to be interested in anything, much less a loser like him. "Well," he said, "he saw your bloodline Hinata mentioned, although I don't think he knows it's a bloodline. I think he's just interested because his family has one," she finished. Naruto looked at her confused. "His family has a bloodline?" he asked. He did vaguely recall Iruka-sensei talking about bloodlines, but he hadn't really been paying attention. Hinata just had a sympathetic smile on her face. "Yes, Naruto-kun, his family has an eye technique, kind of like mine," she said, looking down sadly. Naruto noticed her mood and grabbed her hand. She blushed at the contact. "Sorry, Hinata, I didn't mean to make you sad," he said. "Let's go home." She nodded, still clutching his hand. They walked home together, hand in hand. The next few days flew by for Naruto. He had spent most of his time training with Hinata and working on his bloodline. Naruto awoke on the last day of the academy feeling excited. Today was test day. He could finally graduate from the academy and become a full-fledged ninja. He bounded around his apartment getting ready. In his excitement, he burst from his apartment and came face to face with Hinata. Attempting to stop from crashing into her, he tripped and fell, taking her with him while she let out a squeal. "Kaya!" He landed on top of her with a thud. "I'm sorry. Are you okay, Hinata?" he asked while putting his hand down to push himself up. His hand came in contact with something soft. Just as he was starting to realize just what it was, he grabbed. Hanabi emerged from the apartment next door. "One-chan. Did you wake him up?" Hanabi started before she witnessed the scene in front of her. Naruto was over top of a laying down Hinata with his hand on her breast. Her face was beet red. "Ohoho," Hanabi smirked. "How bold of you, Oni-chan," putting her hand in front of her mouth. "Ga!" Naruto said, sitting up straight and waving his arms in front of him. It was an accident. Hinata sat up and just blushed, looking away from him, her hands hiding a small smile. Naruto helped her stand up, blushing deeply himself. The three of them departed, heading towards the academy, Naruto defending himself loudly from Hanabi's teasing. They arrived at the academy and walked into their classroom. Sasuke was glaring at him from his seat next to the window, but Naruto paid him no attention. The pair walked up to their seats and sat down. They could overhear the students talking about what kind of test it would be to graduate. They had heard it was going to be different this year. Iruka walked into the room and stood at the front. He waited a moment for everyone to settle down, but it didn't look like they were going to. He got a bulging vein in his forehead before yelling, "Settle down!" The whole class stopped what they were doing and stared at him. He cleared his throat. "As you know, this year is going to be a little different for your graduation tests. We are going to have you students spar against each other to determine your fighting ability." With that, the class erupted in talking. Troublesome, a black-haired boy spiked up in a pineapple-shaped set at the back of the room before lazily drifting back to sleep. "Yahoo, I'll ace this for sure!" Another boy wearing a hoodie yelled and earned a yip from the white dog sitting on his head. "Cha! I'm going to win this and show Sasuke-kun how strong I am!" A pink-haired girl yelled. "Not if you face me, forehead!" Another blonde girl quipped back, smirking at her. "What did you say, Ino pig?" The pink-haired girl, Sakura, yelled back. The two girls were glaring at each other. Sasuke just smirked from his brooding spot. This would be his chance to corner Naruto and get him to show off his mysterious jutsus that didn't need hand seals. "Quiet!" Iruka yelled again, more annoyed than the first time. "There will also be a written exam beforehand, which I'm going to pass out now." Naruto was happy at first at the announcement of the spar. He knew he could take anyone, but a written test? That was bad. He was screwed. He just stared down blankly at the piece of paper in front of him, a sad expression on his face. Hinata put her hand on his and smiled at him reassuringly. She had studied a bit with him when she could get him to focus long enough. He smiled back and squeezed her hand. "You'll do fine," Naruto-kun, Hinata said with a slight blush. He nodded his head but was still unsure of himself. He flipped the paper over and began to go over the questions. He could answer a few of them, but overall, there was no way he was passing, and he knew that. Hinata looked over and saw the worried look on his face. She decided she was going to try and help him. She reached down and poked his leg. He looked over at her questioningly. She looked down at her page with a smile and started to lean it more towards him so that he could see it. He looked at her in surprise at first, then a small smile formed on his mouth. She was trying to help him out. He felt good inside, knowing someone cared enough about him to help him. He had decided he really did like her, more than just a friend. He was going to confess after they both graduated. He copied a few answers from her, just enough to not seem suspicious. "Time's up," Iruka announced before making the rounds and picking up all the papers. He tapped the stack of papers on his desk before nodding. "Okay, good," he said to himself before turning to the door. "Come on in, Mizuki, the test is over." The door opened and their other teacher, Mizuki, a chunin with long silver hair with a leaf bandana over top, entered the room. "Okay, everyone," he started, "follow me outside to the courtyard. That's where we will do the next part of the exam." The class got up and followed him out to the courtyard. Mizuki smirked internally. He was going to have the failure of the demon fox fight against the Uchiha. What a perfect way to have the kid suffer a bit, especially since Sasuke seemed keen on fighting him. He admitted he was surprised when Sasuke came to him asking to be paired against Naruto, but now it would work out great. The class arrived at the courtyard where Mizuki spoke, holding a clipboard. "You will be sparring 1 versus 1. When one of you leaves the circle on the ground," he pointed, "is unable to continue, or, if I determine the fight to be over, you will stop. This is not a fight to the death, just a test of your abilities. Now when I call your names, please enter the ring, and we'll begin." He looks down on his clipboard. He knew exactly who was going to be first. "Sasuke Uchiha and Naruto Uzumaki," he declared. Sasuke smirked as he walked up to the ring. "I will make you show me your technique," he thought to himself. Naruto was about to walk out when he felt a hand tug on his jacket. He looked over to see Hinata with a worried expression on her face. This fight worried her. It almost seemed like it was set up. He gave her a smile before nodding his head. She looked at him for another brief moment before nodding her head also and letting go of his jacket. He stepped into the ring. "Both of you, make the sign for shinobi." Both Naruto and Sasuke brought up their hands in a one-handed seal, index and middle finger pointing upward, ring and pinky folded downward, with their thumbs upward. You can't win, Dobe, Sasuke said with a smirk. Says the guy who lost last time. Naruto responded, smirking back. This made Sasuke's face waver a bit. Mizuki looked at them both and then dropped his arm down, shouting Hajime. Sasuke rushed at Naruto, attacking him much faster than last time. Naruto was dodging backwards, parrying attacks as he went. Something felt off. Sasuke was moving faster and parrying his attacks much faster than before, as if he could predict his movements. That's when he saw it, Sasuke's eyes. Both of them were blood red with a black circle in the center, around the pupil. Around the circle there was one black tomo in each eye. Naruto kept jumping backwards until he was at the edge of the arena. Sasuke suddenly took a few steps back. I've got you now, he thought as he started to go through a series of hand signs. Katon, Gakaku no Jutsu, Great Fireball. Sasuke finished with the tiger seal, unleashing a great ball of fire from his mouth. Naruto's mouth was agape for a moment before realizing he had no choice. The ball was moving too quickly and he wouldn't have time to dodge. After seeing Sasuke perform the jutsu, he now had the seals in his mind. Do it, Kit. Chakra into your lungs and exhale, the fox said to him. Naruto brought his hand to his mouth and exhaled an equally large fireball at the one that Sasuke threw. Both of them collided in mid-air, creating a small explosion. Sasuke just stared in shock as the force of the blast threw him backwards. He landed on his ass just outside the ring. He looked up from the dust to see Naruto standing exactly where he was previously, still inside the ring. Mizuki was staring wide-eyed at the display before him before biting his lip in anger. TCH, looks like the demon brat won, Mizuki thought. Winner Naruto Uzumaki, Mizuki spat out. There was a roar from the other students, as all the girls pipped up. He must be cheating. How can you do a jutsu that strong without hand seals? Ino yelled. He's not cheating. They heard a high-pitched yell. Everyone looked over to see the quiet Hyuga with anger on her face. He won fair and square. Hinata yelled again, looking at Ino. Ino was about to retort when Naruto spoke up. It's okay, Hinata, he started. No matter what you say, they won't acknowledge me, he finished sadly. Hinata just bit her lip and looked down angrily. The other girls had quieted down. Sasuke still sat there, mind spinning. He had seen it, a brief moment, red chakra going into his lungs and out with the fire. Something was up with him. Naruto walked over to Sasuke and extended a hand to him. Good fight, Sasuke, he said, smiling. Sasuke snapped out his stupor and looked up at him incredulously. Whatever, he said, standing up on his own, ignoring Naruto's outstretched hand. I'll now proceed to the next match, Mizuki called out. One by one the matches concluded. Hinata had to face against Sakura. With Hinata's far superior taijutsu style and flexibility, the match wasn't even a contest, with Sakura being defeated easily. The rest of the group continued their spars. Okay, we are now finished. Also going to let you guys know that even if you lost your fight, it doesn't mean you failed. This was just a test of ability, not a tournament, Mizuki said with a smile. Much to the relief of everyone in the class. Alright everyone, back inside, they heard Iruka call from the building. Everyone went back inside and Iruka waited for everyone to be seated. Okay, now, I have the results from the written test. Good job everyone, you all passed the written exam, he said with a smile, although, he added, I will say that some of you, he glared at Naruto specifically, who started to squirm, did worse than others. Mizuki handed him the clipboard. If your name is called, come to the front of the classroom to collect your headbands. He motioned to a clothed table with the leaf headbands sitting on top. Shino Aburame, the boy, stood up, walked down and collected his headband. Choji Akimichi, a large boy, stood up and received his headband. The list went on for a while, with Hinata receiving her headband, which she tied around her neck, Naruto giving her a thumbs up and a wink, to which she blushed. Sasuke's name was also called, to no one's surprise, as well as cheering from the girls in the class. Iruka paused in the names while there was only one headband left on the table. A smile formed on his face. So he managed to do it, huh? Iruka thought. Naruto gulped. And finally, Naruto Uzumaki, Iruka said with a smile. Naruto just sat for a moment, then a large grin formed on his face with small tears beginning to form in his eyes. I passed, he yelled while practically jumping down the whole classroom to get to Iruka. Thank you, Iruka-sensei, he yelled while grabbing onto the man's waistline. Whoa, settle down, Naruto, he said, patting the boy on the head. He then grabbed the final headband and tied it around the boy's head. Congratulations, everyone, Iruka said to the class. Meet back here in the morning to be assigned your teams with your Jonin sensei. Dismissed with that, Naruto ran back up to Hinata, grabbing her hands. We passed. We passed. Let's go get ramen to celebrate. He practically yelled in her face. She could only smile and blush at him. He didn't let go of her hand as he practically dragged her out of the academy and towards Ichiraku's. After they had finished their meals and talked about the tests, they had head home in silence. They arrived in front of their apartments. Good night, Naruto-kun, Hinata said, reaching for her door. Naruto stood there with a frown on his face before grabbing her hand. Hinata, he looked at her. She looked back deeply in his eyes. Was he going to do what she thought he was? Her face turning red at the thought. He paused for another moment. It's now or never, he thought. Suddenly the door swung open with Hanabi standing there, causing them both to jump back. Wani-chan, Hanabi whined while grabbing onto Hinata. I'm hungry, she said with fake tears in her eyes. Hinata just giggled at her sister. Okay, Hanabi, let's make dinner. She looked at Naruto apologetically. Good night, Naruto-kun, she said again. Night, Oni-chan, Hanabi added. Yeah, good night, he said, before entering his apartment. Hinata went inside, her heart racing. Was he really just about to confess to her? Her face turned beet red before continuing into the kitchen. The next day, all of the graduates were waiting impatiently at the academy. They were all excited to hear what teams they would be on and who their sensei would be. I hope it's someone super strong. Kiba was yelling to whoever would listen. I hope I'm on the same team as Sasuke-kun, Sakura said with a blush, looking over at the object of her affection. In your dreams, Sakura, Sasuke-kun is going to be paired with me, Ino countered. Sasuke was sitting in the corner of the room staring out the window, deep in thought, trying to ignore the rabid fangirls around him. He was thinking about his spar against Naruto. What was it that he was doing? What was that red chakra that he saw? He would never admit it out loud, but he had come to respect the orange-clad boy. After years of seeing him never give up despite how the villagers treated him. Not only that, but he had lost twice in a row to him. Only someone truly strong could be like that. It reminded him a bit of his brother, always seemed strong in the face of adversity, considering how his clan had been treating him before he disappeared. Sasuke was brought out of his thoughts to look over at the boy. He was saying something quietly to the Hyuga girl next to him. The girl, one of the last of the once prestigious Hyuga clan. With any luck, he'd be on the same team as her. Combining their eyes on the same team would make them invincible. The third member was irrelevant as far as he was concerned. The door to the classroom was suddenly opened and Irika stepped in. Naruto, I need to speak with you for a moment, he said, waving his hand towards himself. Naruto looked at him questioningly but obeyed. He got up and followed Irika out into the hallway. Sasuke stared for a moment at the closed door before casually getting up and slipping out the window without anyone noticing. He quickly found Irika and Naruto standing in the next classroom over. He hid just out of sight. Naruto, Irika began, before I put you on a team, I need to ask you something. He paused. Naruto gulped. I saw what you did in the fight versus Sasuke yesterday. That was quite a high-level fire technique you used. I've never seen you use any fire jutsus before, not to mention, without hand seals. How did you do it? Naruto hesitated a moment. You promise you won't tell anyone? It's supposed to be a secret. Irika nodded, of course. Naruto sighed. He had never told anybody except for Hinata about his bloodline. I guess everyone is going to find out eventually, he thought. Do you know about the Uzumaki clan? Irika pondered for a moment. If I remember correctly, they were once allied to the Leaf, but I don't know much else. Well, they have a Kekai Genkai, Naruto said. Irika just looked at him in disbelief for a moment. My ability is a mastery of seals, including hand seals. Once I've seen the seals for a jutsu, so long as I use the chakra properly I can use the jutsu. Naruto finished. Irika stood there for a moment before smiling. Incredible, who would have known? But how did you know how to use the fire technique so quickly? He asked. Naruto squirmed a bit. Well, I knew the seals because Sasuke did them, and as for how to perform the technique, well, this was it. He was about to confront someone who he assumed knew about the fox. The Kyuubi told me how. He finished slowly, looking for a reaction from Irika. Irika simply stood there looking at him but didn't say anything. Naruto was bracing himself for yelling, or for Irika to suddenly turn on him. Irika raised his hand. Naruto braced for impact but was surprised to feel the hand placed gently on his shoulder. It was hard for you, wasn't it? Irika said, with a look of sympathy on his face. Naruto looked up at him with tears starting to form in his eyes. It's okay, Naruto, I won't tell anyone. Now, go back to your girlfriend, Irika teased. Naruto's face immediately blushed. She's not my girlfriend, he said with a frown, but returned back to the room. Sasuke was still sitting outside, shock clearly on his face. A Kekai Genkai? Him? And the Kyuubi? What did that have to do with anything? He knew one thing for certain, his third teammate had to be Naruto. He quickly realized that his presence might be missed in the class. He climbed back through the window and sat back in his seat just as Naruto came back through the door, followed by Irika. What did Irika-sensei want, Naruto-kun? Hinata asked once he had returned to his seat. He asked about my abilities, that's it, Naruto whispered to her. Irika made a quick note on his clipboard, then addressed the class. Okay everyone, listen up. I'm going to call your names and assign you a team number as well as who your new Jonin sensei will be. The whole class was waiting with silent anticipation. He ran through teams 1 through 6. And for team 7 we have, Hinata, Hyuga, Irika started. Please let me be with Naruto-kun, Hinata thought. Sasuke Uchiha, he continued. Hinata felt a little sad at that name. She did not know the boy well, but she didn't like how he kept picking on Naruto. Sasuke did not react to his name but inwardly was pleased with that. And Naruto Uzumaki Irika finished. Naruto jumped up with a yell. Alright. We're on the same team, Hinata, he yelled, grabbing her shoulders. Hinata blushed bead red at the contact but was inwardly beaming. She was so happy right now. Sasuke sat there stoically. This was perfect. He could discover Naruto's power more easily now, and with Hinata there their team would be unstoppable. Your Jonin sensei will be Kakashi Hatake, he continued. None of the 3 teammates recognized the name. Teammate will be Kiba Inuzuka, Shino Aburame, and Sakura Haruno. Sakura was crestfallen that she couldn't be with Sasuke, especially since she had to be with the loudmouth dog boy and the weirdo. Your sensei will be Kurenai Yahi, Irika finished. Team 9 is still active, so we will move on to the final Team 10, which will be Choji Akimichi, Shikamaru Nara, and Ino Yamanaka. Troublesome, Shikamaru said from his napping place. What was that lazy ass? Ino shrieked at him. Choji said nothing but kept eating his chips. Your sensei will be Asuma Sarutobi, he concluded. Okay everyone, wait here for your senseis, they should be along shortly. Good luck everyone, and again, congratulations on becoming Jonin. Irika finished with a smile. One by one the senseis showed up to retrieve their Jonin teams until only 3 students remained in the classroom. Naruto sat there with a tick mark on his forehead, eyes scrunched and arms crossed. He was not happy. He didn't really want to be on the same team as Sasuke. On top of that, his sensei was extremely late. The only good thing about this was that Hinata was there with him. He couldn't really imagine being on a team without her. The trio heard footsteps coming towards their room. They looked at the door with bated anticipation as the door opened to reveal Irika. He looked at them in surprise. What are you guys still doing here? He asked. Our sensei never showed up, Naruto practically yelled. Irika just looked at him confused. He arrived hours ago. He said he told you to meet him at the 3rd training ground, he said. All 3 ninjas got an annoyed expression on their faces. What? Naruto yelled. He kept us waiting here for hours, he continued to rant. Naruto-kun, Hinata started, calming him down. Let's just go meet him there. I'm sure he didn't mean to make us wait. Irika-sensei, what does Kakashi-sensei look like? Sasuke asked. Irika put his hand on his chin and smirked. You'll know him when you see him. The 3 ninjas arrived at the training ground. A clearing with some trees about and 3 logs in the center. Leaning against one of those logs was a man holding a book in his hand. He was tall and wore the standard leaf flak jacket and blue outfit. His shirt came all the way up and covered his face up to his eyes. His leaf headband wrapped around his forehead, sloping down to cover his left eye. His wild white hair sticking upwards into the air. This man was their new sensei, Kakashi Hatake. Ichiwai, Naruto yelled angrily, running up to his sensei. What the hell do you think you're doing? He continued to rant. Kakashi didn't even look up from his book. It was a nice day and I was enjoying the weather so much I thought you guys wouldn't mind, he said plainly. We were waiting for hours, Naruto yelled again angrily. Was it that long? Kakashi said, finally looking up at him. Well, anyway, you are here now, I suppose we should get started with the introductions. he said, closing his book. He sat on top of one of the logs. The three ninja were still a bit annoyed but sat down nonetheless. What should we be saying? Naruto asked. Well, start with your names and your dreams, likes, dislikes, that sort of thing, Kakashi replied. I'll go first. My name is Kakashi Hatake. I like some things, dislike others. I don't really have any dreams for the future. Kakashi spoke with a smile under his mask. All three kids had a sweat drop. What kind of introduction was that? Naruto said, less a question, more a statement. Kakashi just shrugged. Your turn, he said. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. My dream is protect those I care about. He quickly glanced at Hinata. And to become Hokage. I like ramen and dislike anyone or anything that wants to hurt my friends. I also like you, Hinata, he thought, though he wouldn't say it out loud. Your turn, Kakashi pointed to Hinata. And my name is Hinata Hyuga. My dream is to keep my family safe and to restore my clan, she said with a blush, glancing every so slightly at Naruto. I like cinnamon rolls and cooking food. I don't really dislike anything, she trailed off, pointing her fingers together. I also like you, Naruto-kun, she thought. Kakashi nodded towards Sasuke, who sighed. My name is Sasuke Uchiha. My dream is none of your business. I like my clan and proving myself to others. I dislike anybody who gets in my way, he said, bored and with a hint of arrogance. Kakashi just raised his eyebrow. Well, that wraps that up, he said. How about we get started on some training, just to see how good you guys are? Iruka said you three are the strongest genin this year. Let's see what you can do. He pulled 2 bells from his pocket and tied them to his waist. You have 3 hours to retrieve these bells from me. Any of you holding a bell at the end will have passed and can become a full-fledged ninja. He started, however, the one person left not holding a bell will be sent back to the academy. The 3 ninjas stared at him in disbelief. Wait, I thought we were already ninja? Sasuke said. This didn't make any sense. Not quite. I have to approve if you can stay ninja. If I don't think you can pass, then you will be going back to the academy, Kakashi said plainly. But that's not fair, Naruto yelled. Life isn't fair, kid, deal with it. The test begins now, he shouted. The 3 young ninja jumped away from him and regrouped. What should we do? Naruto asked. I'm getting one of those bells, Sasuke said, glaring at the 2 of them. Hinata frowned but then sighed and looked at Naruto sadly. Naruto-kun, she started, getting his attention. I'll be the one to go back, she said. Naruto's mouth widened. No, he wouldn't let that happen. No, I won't let you do that. We're just going to have to figure something out. Sasuke, I know you want a bell, but let's think about this. He has to be doing something to try and trip us up here, Naruto said. Seems pretty simple to me, Sasuke retorted. I'm getting a bell and becoming a ninja, he said with a frown. Hinata looked between the 2 and realized this wasn't going anywhere. Sasuke-kun, Hinata started. He looked over to her. Help us get the bells, we can figure out what to do afterwards, she said confidently. We need your help, he's a Jonin, there's no way we can beat him individually, she said. Naruto looked at her a little annoyed. Why was she sucking up to Sasuke? Then it finally clicked. It was going to be the only way to get him to work with them. Sasuke hesitated for a moment, then sighed. I guess working together is better, he said. So what's the plan? Kakashi was standing in the middle of the training field, reading his book, when suddenly a volley of shuriken came flying at him. He evaded them easily, jumping to the side, still reading his book. He just barely ducked in time to see Naruto's fist just above his head. As he ducked, he put out his hand to block a kick Naruto threw at him. Naruto attempted to twist around for a kick to the top of the head, but Kakashi put his book away and grabbed Naruto's ankle, twisting him and throwing him at a charging Sasuke. The boys collided and landed on the floor. Kakashi felt a sudden pain in his leg. Looking down to see Hinata with a juken strike to his calf, he quickly twisted on his hands and kicked her away from him. She flipped and landed on her feet, clutching her side. Not bad, he thought. She caught me by surprise. Seems like they are working together. Naruto quickly jumped up and over Kakashi while Sasuke started on some hand seals while Hinata rushed towards Kakashi. Sasuke finished his seals and starting filling his lungs. Naruto landed on the opposite side of Kakashi, filling his lungs as well. Katan, Gukaku no Jutsu, both boys yelled as fireballs erupted from their mouths. Kakashi's eye went wide as he saw the 2 fireballs as well, Hinata rushing towards him. He couldn't evade properly with his leg injured, so he jumped into the air. He cleared the fireballs easily when he looked above and saw Sasuke flying towards him with a kunai in each hand. He grabbed both of Sasuke's arms. Looking down, he saw just in time Naruto and Hinata about to reach the bells on his waist. Well done, I can't even use hand signs with Sasuke keeping my hands occupied, I can let them have this one. And with that thought, Naruto and Hinata reached the bells and each grabbed one. All four ninja quickly disengaged, all landing on their feet. Naruto and Hinata both clutching a bell each. All three ninjas smirking at their sensei. Congratulations, you two, looks like Kakashi began but was cut off when Hinata walked over to Sasuke and handed him a bell. Here you go, Sasuke-kun, I'll go back to the academy, she said a bit sadly. Naruto stared at her in disbelief, Sasuke also with a look of shock on his face. Not going to happen, Naruto said, running over to Sasuke and handing him his bell as well. If you go back, I go back, besides, Sasuke, you wanted it more anyway, he said with a smile. Sasuke just stood there, bewildered. Why were they giving up their chances for him? It didn't make sense. Didn't everyone want to be the strongest? Naruto-kun, why? Hinata asked, looking at him surprised. Because I don't want to be apart from you, he said with a blush. Hinata blushed fiercely and looked down shyly. Sasuke was starting to get it now. It wasn't a matter of individual strength that made you strong, it was the strength you pulled from the people around you. He let out a sigh. You both are so stupid, he said smiling, tossing the bells to the ground. If you guys go back, then there's no way I should pass, he said. Kakashi just stared at all three of them. In all his years of teaching, he had never seen this before. He cleared his throat. Well, I was going to say the three of you pass, but if you are so eager to return to the academy, he started to say. Like hell! Naruto exclaimed. Wait, we passed? He said in disbelief. Yup, Kakashi said with a smile through his mask. The whole point of the exercise was teamwork. If you couldn't work together, then I was going to send you back. But you three worked flawlessly, even Sasuke, who I've heard doesn't play well with others. Congratulations, you guys are officially ninja, he said with a thumbs up. Alright, Naruto cheered, jumping in the air. Hinata smiled happily and Sasuke gave a humph, with a smirk. You guys are much stronger than I expected, so I'm going to be teaching you guys some more advanced stuff. Meet me back here tomorrow morning at 0600 hours, he said. Hi, the three ninja responded. They had finally done it. They were now one step closer to realizing their dreams. Dawn came around and the new team were all waiting around at the third training ground. The three had arrived and decided to start training together. They knew that if Kakashi's behavior the previous day was anything to go by, it would be quite some time before he arrived. Naruto and Sasuke were doing some taijutsu sparring while Hinata meditated and tried to focus chakra into her eyes to improve her Byakugan. While sitting there, she was deep in thought. Things were starting to look up in her life, since her clan's massacre a few years ago. She felt less like an orphan now and more like a family with her sister and Naruto. It seemed silly to her, but she kept imagining life with him, going out, getting married, kissing children. Her eyes shot open as her face got hot with her massive blush. What am I thinking about? She scolded herself as she let out a soft squeak which caught Naruto's attention, who just looked at her confused. Around 9 a.m. Kakashi finally showed up. You're late, Naruto yelled, pointing at him. My bad, I got lost on the road to life, Kakashi replied nonchalantly. Naruto growled a bit in anger. Hinata had a sweat drop with a small smile and Sasuke just looked annoyed. Anyway, today we're going to learn how to climb trees, he said. Climb trees? I can climb a tree already, Naruto retorted. Well, it's a bit different, you see. First, you're going to gather chakra in your feet. Like so. He made a quick hand seal and the soles of his feet started to glow blue. Then, he continued, you are going to walk up the tree like this. He started to walk vertically up the tree. The three just looked at him in wonder. Let me try, Naruto yelled, quickly putting chakra into his feet, taking 2 steps up and promptly falling onto his back. Bahaha, nice try, kid. Use more chakra. Naruto heard the Kyuubi's voice in his head. Grumble, stupid fox, grumble, Naruto said under his breath. Fox? Sasuke thought, looking at Naruto suspiciously. Hinata tried next. She gathered chakra in her feet and perfectly walked up the tree with little effort. Her chakra control was already amazing due to her Juken style. Like this, Kakashi-sensei? Hinata asked. Kakashi looked at her in surprise. How good are these kids? Kakashi wondered. Oh ho, seems like you've got excellent chakra control, Hinata. You too could learn from H. He was cut off by Sasuke attempting to climb, only reaching 4 steps before also falling down. Ah well, I'm sure you guys will figure it out, Kakashi said, leaning back and pulling out his book. He only got to read a few pages before he heard Naruto yell. Alright. I did it. Kakashi lazily looked over to see both Naruto and Sasuke, standing a few branches above him. He looked unshocked. How could they have advanced so quickly? I was not expecting you guys to get it so quickly, Kakashi said in disbelief, while the trio all sat there with smiles on their faces. Kakashi let out a sigh. Well, I guess I can't read my book today, he said, putting it away. Let's just do some sparring for today then, shall we? I want to get a feel for your abilities. They will be one-on-one fights with me. The two who aren't fighting can spar with each other if they chose to. He continued, but first, I need to know what all your abilities are, he said with a stern look. Naruto looked uncomfortable, so Hinata reached down and squeezed his hand. He looked at her. She had nothing but support on her face. He nodded. As long as she was there, he could tell them. Sasuke might not know, but you surely do, Kakashi-sensei, about the Kyuubi? Naruto asked. Kakashi simply nodded while Sasuke looked on intently. So then, you know it was sealed inside of me? Naruto asked. Kakashi simply nodded again. He knew about what his sensei had done 12 years ago. Sasuke's eyes widened. The Kyuubi was sealed inside Naruto? How did that come to pass? Wasn't the Kyuubi killed? That's not possible, Sasuke answered, a frown on his face. The fourth killed it, he said. Naruto looked at Sasuke, matching his gaze. Well, you better believe it. The fourth sealed it inside his son, Naruto said at Sasuke with a menacing tone. Sasuke just stared at him. There was no way this was possible. He had the Kyuubi and was the son of a Hokage. Sasuke, Kakashi interrupted. The fourth was my sensei, trust me, everything he is saying is true. We weren't allowed to tell your generation so that Naruto could try and live a normal life. You've seen how the villagers treated him, right? Sasuke just looked down. It all made sense now. The red chakra, his power. He clenched his fist, then slowly let it go, still frowning. I suppose your bloodline came from the fox too, right? Sasuke asked, glaring at Naruto. How do you know about that? Naruto asked back. I overheard you and Iruka-sensei talking, he said icily. No, that is my own bloodline, the Uzumaki line, Naruto affirmed strongly. Uzumaki bloodline? Kakashi asked. He knew his sensei had a child with an Uzumaki, but he had no idea they had a bloodline. We are seal masters, Naruto said. As long as I can see the hand seals for a jutsu, I don't need to use them to cast it. Kakashi was surprised. That was a powerful ability. It now made sense that he could use the same fire jutsu as Sasuke. Sasuke, Naruto said, staring right at him. Sasuke stared back. Do you hate me now? Do you see me as the demon, or do you see me as Naruto Uzumaki? Naruto asked. Sasuke met Naruto's gaze for a moment, that seemed to last an eternity to Naruto, before dropping his gaze and shrugging. You are Naruto Uzumaki, not the demon. The villagers are idiots if they can't tell the container from the contents, Sasuke said. Naruto was relieved to hear him say that. He wasn't sure why, but he needed Sasuke to say that. Naruto, Kakashi said, can we get a demonstration of your bloodline? Sure, Naruto replied. Show me a jutsu, he said eagerly. Kakashi thought for a moment, before getting an idea. He went through a small series of hand signs. Futon, Daitapa, wind style, great breakthrough, Kakashi said. He sent a small air bullet off into the sky. That's awesome. Let me try, Naruto yelled. Same thing as the fireball but with wind instead, Kakashi exclaimed. Bring the chakra into your lungs and send out wind instead of fire. Naruto did as he was told and the same thing happened. A ball of air shot out of his mouth into the sky. He looked with a grin. Well, now you know what my ability is. He chuckled. Sasuke just scoffed. Okay, your turn. What's with the red eyes I saw earlier? Naruto asked. Sasuke looked at him shocked for a moment. He didn't know about the Sharingan? It's the Sharingan build, Sasuke replied. Sharin what? Naruto answered, much to Sasuke's annoyance. It's my eye technique. We can copy jutsus, see through illusions and predict enemy movement. Sasuke recited from memory, gloating. He was proud of his eyes. Hinata's eyes are better, right, Hinata? He asked towards her. She blushed at the comment while Sasuke looked furious. Kakashi noticed it was starting to get heated between the two boys. Now, they both have their merits, Kakashi interrupted. Go ahead, Hinata, tell us about your Byakugan. Hinata shifted a little. I can see in almost a circle around me, as well as through objects, even flesh. I can see the chakra points in the body and am able to shut them down with my Jukin, preventing chakra flow. She finished. She didn't like talking about her eyes ever since she was teased as a kid for having them. See, she's awesome. Naruto grinned, to which Sasuke just sighed. He knew what the Hyuga were capable of. His father had taught him about all the other strong clans of Konoha. Okay, let's get started. Naruto, come with me. Sasuke and Hinata, you two can train together for a while, Kakashi said, leading Naruto away from the group to train. Naruto had finished his spar with Kakashi and went back to sit down, with a bit of difficulty. Kakashi had taught him a new jutsu. It had certainly lived up to its name of 1,000 Years of Death. Due to this, Naruto decided it was better to meditate and speak with the Kyuubi for a time while Hinata trained with Kakashi. He closed his eyes and felt his consciousness go to his mindscape. Hey furball, Naruto exclaimed, walking up to the fox's cage. What do you want, brat? The Kyuubi answered. Nothing really, I was just wondering if you could tell me more about my parents, Naruto asked. There really isn't anything more to tell you. Your mother was fierce and hot-headed, your father was calm but incredibly powerful. Although no, it's too early for you now, the fox answered. What? That's not fair. Tell me, Naruto whined. The fox just grinned. The boy was so easy. The Kyuubi sighed, very well. There is a scroll your father left for you, hidden away in his compound. I don't exactly know where it is, but I'm sure you can find it if you look hard enough, the fox replied. Scroll? What kind of scroll? Does it have a powerful jutsu in it? Naruto asked excitedly. The fox chuckled. There is more to life than powerful jutsu, kit. He started to curl up on the floor. Now go away, you're interrupting my nap, the fox growled. Nay, Kyuubi arigato, Naruto said with a smile. Kurama, the fox replied. Huh? Naruto answered perplexed. My name. It's Kurama, he repeated. Naruto nodded. Arigato, Kurama, he said as his mind began to fade and he returned to the training field. He awoke to find Hinata sitting next to him, looking off at nothing in particular. Sasuke was just finishing up his spar with Kakashi. The two walked over to Hinata and Naruto. I think I've got a good grasp of what you all are capable of. They weren't kidding, you three are incredibly strong, Kakashi said with a smile, earning one in return from the trio. I picked up a C-rank mission for you guys for tomorrow. I know it's a bit higher than normal fresh genin, but I think you guys can handle it. Meet at the gates tomorrow morning at 0900 hours. It will be an overnight escort mission for some merchants. Dismissed. Hi. The three ninjas answered in unison before starting to head home. It was now dark out as Team 7 left the training grounds. They had gone mostly in the same direction, walking in silence, or more. Sasuke and Hinata walked in silence as Naruto started talking about how strong he was. Later, Dobe, Hinata, Sasuke said, nodding to each of them before walking off towards the Uchiha compound. What did you call me? Naruto yelled at him, to which Sasuke just waved one hand, back still turned. Calm down, Naruto-kun, Hinata said, touching his arm. Feeling her touch immediately started to calm him, she had that kind of power on him. Let's go home, she said with a smile. The two walked in silence for a while, enjoying each other's company. Naruto then got an idea, since they were now alone. Maybe I should ask her for a date, he thought. Nay, you hungry, Hinata? Want to stop at Ichiraku's? Naruto asked. Hinata thought for a moment, then shook her head. Sorry, Naruto-kun, I need to get back to Hanabi. I'm sure she's waiting for me, she said with a small smile. She doesn't want to, huh? I guess it's expected, there's no way she could like me, he thought. He didn't let his disappointment show on his face. Okay, I'll see you later then, he said with a smile, then started to head towards Ichiraku. Good night, Naruto-kun, Hinata said, heading back towards her apartment. She had decided to wander through some alleys on her way back. It was a more direct route to her home. She walked past an alley with a bar on it when three men walked out. Two of them looked like normal civilians, but the third was wearing the flak jacket and leaf headband. Well, what do we have here? One man called out, drunkenly, staring at Hinata. She felt a pang of fear as the other two men looked at her, leering. Why don't you come over here, have a little fun with us? The ninja called out. She started to move faster, away from the men, only when she turned around the ninja from before was standing in front of her. She stared up at him, eyes wide with fear. She activated her Byakugan and attempted a juken strike to his stomach. He dodged easily, grabbing her wrist, and in the process spun her around so she had her back to him. Her arm caught behind her back. He then wrapped one arm around her neck. Not so fast, little lady, we're just looking for a good time tonight, he whispered in her ear. Please don't, Hinata said, tears starting to form in her eyes. She was scared, she felt helpless in this position. Oh, come on now, just relax, one of the men said, stumbling towards her. He reached up and grabbed the zipper of her jacket and started to pull down, undoing her jacket. Let's see what you're hiding under here, he said with a lecherous look in his eyes. No! She yelled as loud as she could, kicking upwards, hitting the man in the chest. He let out a grunt. The ninja behind her clamped his hand around her mouth and tightened his grip on her hand. She winced in pain as the man punched her in the gut. Settle down now and we won't hurt you, he said. He paused a moment, looking at her eyes. Hey, I know this one, the man who punched her said. She's the little Hyuga princess. You're in luck, this way you can get started on rebuilding your clan, the man said with a chuckle, earning the same response from the other men. Hinata shut her eyes as the man from before reached for the hem of her shirt. She could feel his hands start to move her shirt upwards. She felt tears starting to flow down her face. What the fuck are you guys doing? A voice was heard at the end of the alley. Hinata's eyes flew open at the voice. She looked down the alley behind the men to see Naruto standing there, eyes completely red with a black slit down the center. His whisker marks were deeper, and his nails were sharp like claws. Naruto-kun? She thought. Let go of her. Now. Naruto ordered, his voice deeper, more feral. The men all chuckled. And what are you going to do if we don't? Demon brat. One of the civilians answered. Wrong answer. Naruto responded, and before the civilians could even blink they were both struck down. One with a kick to the head, the other a punch to the chest. The strike sent them both colliding into the walls of the alley. The ninja released the hand around Hinata's mouth and pulled out a kunai and placed it against her throat. Get lost or I'll kill her, he said, fear clearly present on his face. Naruto glared at him for a moment before shifting his gaze to Hinata, his blood-red eyes meeting her lavender ones. Don't worry, Haim. I won't let him hurt you, he said, eyes softening a bit. She stopped crying and looked at him. She felt confident he would save her. Naruto left her gaze and glared at the man. You have 3 seconds to leave or I'm cutting her throat, the man said, pushing the kunai closer. 1-2th the man could not finish his sentence as Naruto had appeared behind him, breaking the hand that held the kunai. He yelled in pain before releasing Hinata and dropping to his knees. Hinata quickly backed away from him. Destroy him, Naruto. He touched your mate. Naruto heard Kurama's voice in his head. I'm going to break you, Naruto said, an evil look starting to form on his face as he walked towards him. Hinata looked at the trembling man on the ground, then back to Naruto. She didn't recognize the look on his face. She didn't like what he was saying now. She ran up to him and grabbed him in a hug from behind. Naruto-kun, stop, she said. He froze for a moment before starting to calm down. His nails returned to normal as well as his whisker marks. His eyes returned back to their normal deep blue. I'm sorry, Hinata. He just made me so mad. He was going to, Naruto said. She nodded into his back. I'm okay, let's go home now. She broke the hug. I'll get you for this brat, the man yelled as he got up and started to run away. Naruto grabbed Hinata's hand and started to pull her away. Let's get out of here, he said. The two started running towards their apartments. Once they arrived home, Hinata turned to Naruto and ran into him, giving him a hug. Arigato, Naruto-kun. You saved me, she said, relief in her voice. I'll always protect you, Haim, he said more softly. She blushed deeply and nuzzled herself closer to his shoulder. Naruto was relishing in the contact. He didn't ever want to let go. After a few moments they broke the hug. Well, good night, Hinata, Naruto said with a grin. Good night, Naruto-kun, Hinata responded before heading into their own apartments. Hinata closed the door behind her and slid down to the ground. Her face went bright red and she put her hands to her face. He called me Haim, she thought. In that moment she was happy. Hinata was trying to leave her apartment, but Hanabi was clinging to her leg. Hanabi, I have to go on my mission, Hinata scolded. But I don't want you to go, Hanabi said, her eyes closed shut, grasping onto her sister's legs. It's only for one night, Hanabi, you'll be fine, Hinata said, trying to pry her sister from her legs. She soon realized it was futile. Tell you what, Hanabi. I'll buy you a treat when I get back, Hinata said. She knew she could bribe her little sister. Hanabi paused and loosened her grip a bit. She looked up with small tears in her eyes. Really? She asked, staring at Hinata. Of course. Hinata smiled at her. Okay, Nei-chan, Hanabi said, jumping up and hugging Hinata, who returned the hug. They both heard a knock at the door. You ready, Hinata? They heard Naruto's voice from the other side. Hanabi pulled open the door and jumped at Naruto with a hug. Whoa, hey there, Hanabi, Naruto yelled. Keep her safe, okay, Oni-chan? Hanabi said. I'll keep her safe, I promise. And I never go back on my word, he said to her, gently pulling out of the hug. You better, Hanabi pouted. She was a little afraid of being home alone, and being away from both of them for so long. Well, we have to leave now. Be good, Hanabi, Hinata said. Hanabi nodded as she waved to the two of them, who both waved back. Naruto and Hinata arrived at the gates to find Sasuke, and to their surprise, Kakashi waiting for them. About time you lovebirds got here, Kakashi said teasingly. Both kids just blushed and looked away from each other. Well, are you ready to go? It's a simple overnight mission. The only thing we need to worry about is probably a few bandits, Kakashi said. Hi, the three ninja responded. The group gathered with the merchant's cart, being pulled by a horse, and walked in formation away from the town. Their destination was a small village a day's walk from the village, at civilian pace. The group mostly walked in silence, all keeping an eye out for anything out of the ordinary. It was their first mission, they didn't want to screw it up. Kakashi was wandering in front of the caravan, one hand in his pocket, the other had his favorite book in his hand. Sasuke stood on the left flank, carefully observing the woods with his Sharingan. Naruto walked with his arms behind his head, seemingly not paying attention to anything. However, he was keeping a close eye on his surroundings. Finally there was Hinata, bringing up the rear, her Byakugan active to keep watch for an ambush. Hinata was keeping an eye on the surroundings when she spotted a group of bandits up ahead and a few behind. She ran ahead and spoke to Kakashi. There are 12 bandits waiting ahead of us, 6 on each side of the road. There are another 6 coming from behind, 3 on each side of the road. Hinata whispered to Kakashi. 18 total, Kakashi said, hand on his chin. Kakashi nodded and looked over at Sasuke. He nodded and vanished into the trees next to him. He looked over at Naruto, who did the same, nodded and jumped into the forest. I'll stay with the merchant, can you handle the 6 coming from behind? Kakashi asked. Hi. Hinata responded before jumping over the cart and landing behind it. Just as she landed, the group of bandits emerged from all around them. Well, what's this? Thinking you can just cross our land for free? You gotta pay the toll, the largest bandit at the front said. Judging by his size and semblance of authority, he was seemingly the leader of the group. Kakashi sighed. You don't really want to be here right now, he said. I'll tell you what, if you guys leave right now, he started, signaling his team. Naruto, Hinata and Sasuke sprung into action. Hinata rushed at the bandits, Byakugan blazing. She hit the first bandit with a Juken strike to the abdomen, causing him to double over. She moved gracefully, twirling around, landing 3 quick strikes to another man's chest, closing off chakra points, causing him pain. She parried another attack from a sword, closing off a point on his arm with 2 fingers, causing him to drop his weapon. She then twisted his arm and flipped him over while hitting more points on his back. She quickly ducked a sword swipe aimed at her head, spinning. She swept the attacking bandit's legs out from underneath him. Spinning further, she landed a palm strike to his chest, just below his heart, enough to injure but not kill. The final bandit rushed at her. She ducked down as he was coming, pushing her body into his, causing him to tumble forward over top of her. As he was falling, she turned around and shoved a Juken strike into his stomach, sending him flying backwards into a nearby tree. Sasuke jumped down from a tree, right on top of a bandit. As he landed, he pulled out 2 kunai that he threw to either side of him, hitting both bandits in the chest, wounding them, but making sure to miss their hearts. He quickly got on his hands as 3 bandits rushed him, spinning his feet around and kicking all 3 in the head, knocking one of them out. He flipped up on his feet, running through a quick series of hand seals and shouted Katan Hausenka, Fire style, Phoenix Flower, a small series of fireballs erupted from his mouth. They flew towards another bandit and collided head-on. He dodged to the side, avoiding a sword swipe, grabbing the man's arm. Sasuke flipped him over onto his back, breaking the bandit's wrist, forcing him to drop the sword. He grabbed the sword and started running towards the bandit leader. Naruto jumped out from behind a tree with a punch to the back of the head of one of the bandits. He ducked under a sword and gave an uppercut to a bandit while jumping backwards, kicking another one in the chest. He pulled a kunai out of his pack in a reverse grip, parrying a sword strike from another bandit, knocking his arm backwards. He grabbed the man's wrist, then delivered 3 quick stabs to him, one in his leg, one in the side and one to the arm. He threw the kunai towards another bandit as he brought his hands to his mouth and unleashed a gust of air, making the kunai fly faster and impale another man in the shoulder. He ran up to retrieve his kunai, rushing towards the bandit leader as Sasuke did the same. Both boys arrived at the same time at the bandit leader. Sasuke brought the sword he grabbed up to the man's throat while Naruto was behind him, with the kunai pointed at his back. "We won't kill all of you," Kakashi finished with a smile. The leader looked around shocked. All his men were either on the floor in pain with various wounds, or were knocked unconscious. He blinked a few times before nodding slowly. Naruto and Sasuke lowered their weapons, Sasuke lingering with the sword a moment. He liked the feel of it. He decided to keep the weapon. "I'll let these guys pass. Gather everyone and let's leave," the leader announced to his men, who started slowly get up, gather their weapons and limp, dragging their comrades back into the forest. "Good job on the scouting, Hinata," Kakashi said. "Yeah, you were awesome," Naruto started boasting. Even Sasuke nodded his approval with a smirk and a H&N. She blushed at the attention she was getting. "Arigato," she replied. The merchant cleared his throat. "If we're all done here, we need to keep moving. I'm behind schedule as it is," he barked. Hi, Kakashi said, bored, pulling his book back out again and continuing to read. The rest of the trip to the village went without incident. No more bandits attacked the caravan. The merchant paid them, they all found a small inn to stay at for the night. The inn only had 1 room available. All 4 ninja had to share a room. It was a large room, plenty of room for them each to spread out and sleep. Hinata was fumbling nervously with her bag. She had never slept in the same room with boys before. Of course, she remembered the night she stayed at Naruto's apartment, but they had been in separate rooms. "Okay everyone, lights out. Sasuke, you take first watch. We don't really need it, but it is good practice for when we're out in the wilderness for real. Naruto will relieve you, then Hinata, I'll have final watch, okay?" "Hi," Sasuke said, finding a spot on the windowsill to sit. The night went by peacefully with everyone taking their turns in shifts. Naruto started to stir awake when he felt a weight on his chest. He slowly opened his eyes to find Hinata gently sleeping on top of him. He froze. "What the? Why is Hinata sleeping here?" he thought, and giant blush starting to form on his face. He moved ever so slightly, causing Hinata to start to wake up. Lavender eyes met blue ones and their faces both went a deep red. "Kaya!" Hinata screamed, jumping up and sitting away from Naruto. "I am sorry, and Naruto-kun," Hinata said, although she was extremely embarrassed she couldn't help but smile. "Well, wasn't that cute?" Kakashi said from across the room, holding a camera in his hands. He had just freshly taken a picture of them sleeping. "Did you do this?" Naruto jumped in a rage, face still beet red. Kakashi chuckled. "I'm just helping things along," Kakashi said with a chuckle, "plus this is good blackmail material," he finished. "Blackmail? Why you?" Naruto was yelling at Kakashi. "Shut up, Dobe, it's too early for this," Sasuke said from his sleeping bag. Naruto just growled and grabbed his bag. "I'm going to get changed," he yelled before leaving the room and slamming the door behind him. "Sorry about that, Hinata," Kakashi said. "I just wanted to have a little fun with him." It's okay," Hinata said with a smile and pointing her fingers together. Sasuke just groaned from his sleeping bag. The team packed their belongings in silence, Naruto still fuming, and started to head back to the village. They could move at a faster pace now that they weren't escorting anyone. They arrived back at the village a few hours later. They walked through the gate to be immediately greeted by an ANBU ninja. "Hinata, Hyuga, and Naruto Uzumaki, please report to the Hokage Tower immediately," the ANBU said, no emotion in his voice. "What about the debriefing?" Kakashi asked. "It can wait. You two please come with me," he said, turning towards the Hokage Tower. Both kids looked confusedly at each other before obeying and following him. They arrived a few minutes later at the tower. They were quickly ushered not to the Hokage's office, but to a different room within the tower. As they entered, they saw the third Hokage standing there with a somber look on his face. Hinata got a bad feeling. "What's going on, old man?" Naruto asked. "Naruto Hinata," he said sadly. "There was a fire at your apartment complex last night," he started. "Most of the residents were able to escape unharmed, however," he paused. "We did find one person who did not make it out." The Hokage stepped aside, and laying on a table behind him was a small body, covered in a white sheet. The Hokage stepped aside, revealing a small body covered by a white cloth. Hinata froze. The whole world seemed to stop. She could vaguely hear Naruto talking, but she didn't care. In this moment, the only things that existed was her and the body lying under the sheet. She slowly walked up to the sheet, hand outstretched, looking to grab it. As her hand was about to reach the sheet, she felt a pressure on her arm. She looked over and saw Naruto, grabbing her arm. "Don't look at it," Naruto said, tears starting to form in his eyes. "Let go of me," Hinata said, no emotion on her face, eyes blank. Naruto did not waver. "I said let go of me." Hinata started to get frantic, eyes starting to water. She tried to pull her arm away. She needed to see her sister. Naruto quickly grabbed hold of her arms. She slowly slumped to the ground with him, heavy tears falling down her face. She had begun to sob. Naruto held on to her tightly. Naruto grit his teeth. "How did it happen?" he asked the Hokage. He paused for a moment. "We apprehended a civilian nearby. After some questioning, it was revealed that a ninja had done it. He was trying to get to you, Naruto." Naruto's eyes widened, his heart started to ache. She was dead because of him. Who would do that? What did I do?" Naruto choked out, tears starting to fall down his face. "He claimed you broke his wrist," the Hokage answered. Visions of the previous night came back to Naruto of the group attacking Hinata. He was starting to feel a rage building inside of him. "So what? I break his wrist, he tries to kill me?" Naruto yelled. "They were going to Hinata," he continued. "I had to do something." He was yelling now, tears flowing freely down his face. The Hokage got a dark look in his eyes. "Give the man to Ibiki. I want him interrogated further, and then locked up," the Hokage said to his ANBU. "Hi." The ANBU answered before disappearing. Hinata had broken free from Naruto's grip and was laying over top of the covered body, still sobbing. She didn't know what to think, she just wanted to be near her sister. Naruto just sat there. How could someone in the village do this? First they tried to a young girl, then they set fire to a house just because he was the demon brat. If this was how everyone in the village was going to continue to act, he wasn't sure he wanted to be a part of it. Hinata managed to pull the sheet back a little bit, revealing a severely charred body. Hinata began to sob harder into the sheet. "Hanabi," she muttered between sobs. After a few moments of grief, the Hokage placed an arm on Hinata's shoulder. "I've prepared some rooms for the two of you to stay at my estate until we can find something better," he said. Naruto, he looked at the boy, who kept looking at Hinata. "Please take her to my estate, and the two of you should get some rest. I'll inform Kakashi you two will be on leave for a little while," he said. Naruto slowly nodded, his face still wet with tears as he approached Hinata, placing his hands on her shoulders and gently started to lift her up. She didn't fight the action and allowed herself to be pulled upwards. He slowly started to lead her away. "Let's go, Hinata," Naruto said. He needed to comfort her. Hinata didn't respond but allowed herself to be led out of the room and then out of the Hokage tower. The two walked in silence. Both had since stopped crying, but the mood had not improved. They had blank expressions on their tear-stained faces. They arrived at the Sarutobi estate and were led to two rooms next to each other. Hinata entered her room and closed the door without a word. She walked over to the only bed in the room. She crawled onto the bed and hugged her knees to her chest and began to cry into her knees until she eventually fell asleep. Days had passed since the discovery of Hanabi's body. Hinata had spent most of her time isolated in her room, refusing to speak to anyone. Naruto had tried on several occasions to get her to talk with him, but she remained quiet and alone in her room. Trays of food had mostly gone uneaten. Naruto was getting worried about her. She was the only person left that he considered family, but decided to try and give her some space. Hinata awoke one day. Her mood had not changed. She felt empty, cold. She crawled off of the bed. She hadn't even bothered to undress the night before. There was a small bathroom attached to her bedroom. she decided to climb into the shower. As she let the hot water run over her body, she still felt cold inside. She began to think, Hanabi was dead because of her. If she had been stronger that night in the alley, Naruto wouldn't have had to come save her and none of this would have happened. If she had been stronger when Koga attacked Niji, her father, her whole clan would still be alive. She had thought she had gotten past all of that, but now, after all that happened, her old wounds were starting to resurface. She felt weak, she felt guilty. She had made up her mind now, there was nothing left in this village for her. If Naruto had been in his apartment that night, he could have died too. She wasn't going to let anyone suffer anymore because of her. Her clan was gone, her family was gone, and she had endangered the only boy she had could ever love. Tonight she would leave the village alone and not look back. She finished her shower and started to get dressed. She started to put on her beige coat but stopped. She decided she needed a change. She left her beige jacket on the bed. Now, she was only wearing a dark blue tank top, going down to her waist as well as the normal blue ninja pants. She picked up her leaf headband and started to tie it around her neck. She paused a moment, then placed it back down, on top of her beige jacket. She needed to gather a few things before she could leave. She went over to the window and opened it, letting the warm spring breeze in, the sun shining down on her. It wasn't fair, the world seemed to go on as if nothing had happened, whereas her whole world got turned upside down. She climbed up onto the windowsill and jumped onto a nearby branch. She then hopped up onto the roof and started to go from roof to roof, avoiding the ground. She was heading towards the Hyuga compound. She shivered as she got to the gates, despite the warm air. She jumped over the wall and started to head towards the dojo. She activated her Byakugan as she arrived at the dojo, looking for an opening. She had been told about a hidden room by her father while he was preparing her for duties as the clan head. She found what she was looking for. A part of the wall was darker than the rest, but only with the Byakugan active. She walked up to the wall, and with a half-tiger seal she muttered, "Open." The wall flashed with the caged bird symbol before disappearing, revealing a hallway. She walked in to find bookshelves littered on either side of a large room with the Hyuga symbol on the wall. She walked over to the bookshelves and started to grab scrolls from the shelves, hidden techniques of the Hyuga clan, such as the Kaiten, Heavenly Spin, Hack Rokujian Sho, 64 Palm Strike, and how to add elemental affinity to the Juken, as well as some historical scrolls on the Hyuga clan. She pulled a storage scroll out of her pack and sealed them all inside. She exited the shrine and went to a large stone at the back of the compound. 2 sakura trees on either side of the stone stood. The stone was the Hyuga Memorial Stone, names of main branch members written on it. She stood for a while, staring at it, reflecting on her recent events. She then pulled out a kunai and walked over to the wall. She began to scratch another name on the wall, beneath her father's. Hanabi Hyuga. She let a single tear fall before bowing to the stone, turning around and leaving the compound. She returned back to the Sarutobi estate late at night. There was one last thing she wanted to do before leaving. She quietly entered the building and walked to Naruto's door. She activated her Byakugan and noticed her was asleep. She quietly and slowly turned the knob to his door and entered the room. She snuck over to the bed where Naruto lay, sound asleep. She reached down and gently pushed some hair out of his face. "I'm sorry, Naruto-kun. I can't stay here anymore. Please keep yourself safe," she whispered. She leaned over top of him slowly and gently placed her lips to his. The kiss was brief and she pulled away. "Sayonara, Naruto-kun," she whispered one last time before leaving the room, closing the door behind her. "Kit!" The noise was barely audible. "Naruto!" He heard the voice again. Why was it bothering him? He was having a nice dream and could have sworn he felt some pressure on his lips. "Wake up, brat!" Kurama's voice rang loud and clear in his head. Naruto jumped out of his bed and landed on the floor. "What was that for?" he yelled in his head. "Kit, your vixen is gone. She was just here a moment ago. Hurry up if you want to find her," the fox said. "Vixen? Hinata?" he asked. "Don't think, just go," the fox yelled at him. Naruto jumped up, throwing on his shoes. He rushed out of his room and started banging on Hinata's door. "Hinata! Are you in there?" he yelled. He waited a moment but got no response. "I'm coming in." He pushed the door open. The room was dark, only the moonlight shining through the window. The room was empty. He looked over on the bed and saw her headband sitting on top of her beige jacket. "Shit!" he muttered before running out of the house at full speed. "Kurama, where did she go?" Naruto thought to the fox. "She said she couldn't stay here anymore? I think she's leaving the village," the fox replied. Don't leave, Hinata. I'm coming for you, Naruto thought as he took off at full speed towards the village gates. Hinata was just about to walk out of the gates. She paused for one last moment, looking back at the village. Hinata! She heard. Her eyes went a little wide as she saw an orange blur coming straight at her. Naruto stopped right in front of her, clenching his fist, breathing heavily. Where are you going? He asked. He didn't sound angry, just confused. Hinata paused for a moment. I can't stay here, Naruto-kun, she replied sadly. Everything that happened is my fault. I don't want anyone else to get hurt because of me. Naruto frowned. It's not your fault. And what do you mean nothing left? I'm still here, he said. And I don't want you to get hurt, she replied, looking away from him. They both just stood there in silence for a moment, Naruto staring at Hinata as she was avoiding his gaze. Naruto then came to a decision. He needed her, there was no way around it. If she wasn't going to stay, he was going to go with her. His dreams had changed. At first his only goal was to become Hokage and prove himself to the villagers, to make them acknowledge him. But after what he had witnessed recently, the only thing he wanted to do now was to stay by her side. He nodded his head, never breaking eye contact. Fine, then I'm coming with you, he said. She stood there shocked for a moment. Why? Hinata asked. I thought your dream was to become the Hokage, she said. It's different now, I still want to be Hokage, but not if you aren't here to share it with me, Arg. I'm bad at explaining things. I just want you by my side, Naruto said. Hinata's eyes went wide. Was he saying what she thought he was? What are you talking about? She asked, looking downward. Naruto paused for a moment. This was it, he had to tell her. Hinata, I love you, he said, looking straight at her. Hinata lifted her eyes, her mouth starting to open a bit. Before she dropped her head, hair covering her eyes. He was just saying things to get her to stay, there was no way he could love her. He must have felt the kiss, and was just trying to make her stay here. Are you just saying that to make me feel better? So that I won't just leave? She asked. What? No. Really, I love you. Ever since we started living together, you're all I can think about, he said, slowly closing the distance between them. Prove it, she said, lifting her eyes, small tears starting to form. He finally reached her, he placed a hand on her cheek. She leaned into it, eyes filled with pain. He slowly brought his face closer to hers, they both closed their eyes. Their lips met softly at first, both of them unsure of what to do. Naruto started deepening the kiss, leaning into it, he needed her to know how much she meant to him. He tried to convey his feelings into the kiss. They gently broke apart, eyes fluttering open. Hinata's face had a tinge of red on it. I love you too, Naruto-kun, she said. So you'll stay? He asked. She slowly shook her head. I still can't stay here, there are too many painful memories, she replied. Naruto sighed again. Then I don't have a choice, I'm coming with you, he said, his tone indicating that there was no arguing. Are you sure? Once we leave, we probably can't come back, Hinata said. Looking down, she felt bad that she was making him give up his dream. Naruto thought for a moment before nodding. I can't lose you, he said, grabbing her hand. I just need one thing before we go, can you help me get it? Naruto asked. Hinata looked at him quizzically. What is it? She asked. It's a scroll my father left for me at his compound. Kurama, the Kyuubi, told me about it, he stated. Hinata nodded and Naruto began to lead her towards the Namikaze compound. They arrived at the compound without being seen by anyone. They entered the building. Inside was completely dark, they couldn't see anything. Naruto lifted his hand and a small fireball appeared, lighting the way. Do you know where it is? Hinata asked. Naruto shrugged. No idea, but I'll find it, he said. They began to walk through the halls, checking rooms as they went along. They were quickly able to search the compound as it was not that large. They had not been able to find anything except for some random books of little interest. Most of the bedrooms were in pristine condition other than the amount of dust that had collected. Naruto was almost going to give up when he heard a voice in his mind. Head to the study, it said. It was a man's voice, but Naruto didn't recognize it. He obeyed and walked into the study. Third shelf along the left wall, the voice said. Naruto walked up to the shelf, Hinata close behind. He noticed a small cup among the books and scrolls and had the Uzumaki symbol on it, with what looked like a raindrop on top of it. It's a blood seal, Hinata said, noticing the cup as well. Naruto bit his finger, hard enough to draw blood. He placed his hand over the cup and let a drop fall into it. The drop sat there a moment before glowing and then disappearing. Suddenly the wall started to shake and the wall behind the shelf started to pull backwards, bringing the shelf with it. In a matter of moments, an opening could be seen. The two nodded at each other and entered the room. Once inside, Naruto noticed a lone scroll, sitting on a table at the end of the room. He also noticed 4 torches, one in each corner of the room. Light the torches. He heard the voice in his head again. Naruto did as instructed and raised his arms, shooting a small ball of fire at each torch. Once they were all lit, some writing started to flow out of them, all reaching for the center of the room. They made a circle in the form of a seal. I need some of your blood, in the center. The voice instructed once more. Naruto walked up, biting his finger again due to the Kyuubi's healing factor, and let another drop fall into the center of the seal. Hinata watched on with interest and concern. There was a puff of smoke and all the lettering disappeared from the floor. Naruto and Hinata both got into a fighting stance as the smoke was clearing. They could see a tall figure, with spiky hair standing in the center of the room. The smoke started to dissipate more, revealing a standard Jonin flak jacket, with the blue ninja outfit underneath. A white cloak with red flames over top. A gentle face with wild blonde hair. Standing in the center of the room was Minato Namikaze, the 4th Hokage. Naruto and Hinata both stood there with their eyes wide in surprise. Yo! He said, waving his arm with a smile on his face. Naruto and Hinata just stared at him for a moment, wondering if he's real. Minato just stood there with a goofy grin on his face looking at them both. You both look like you've seen a ghost. Minato said, don't have any words for your old man? Hey, are you real? Naruto asked in disbelief. Minato thought for a moment. Well, yes and no. I'm not actually alive. I'm just some chakra that I left here in case anything were to happen to me. A failsafe if you will, he said. But how are you here? Why did you seal the Kyuubi in me? Why did Naruto started to say? He had so many questions, so many things he wanted to ask he didn't know where to start. Minato held up his hand, interrupting him. I don't have a lot of time, Naruto. I know you have a lot of questions. I'm only here right now because I sealed a little bit of my life forcing you when I sealed your prisoner. He continued. Naruto nodded, hanging on every word. This scroll behind me has all of my jutsus in it, and how to learn them. Minato said, pointing to the scroll, you can figure it out, I believe in you. Minato's smile started to fade. I can see some of your memories. I know it hasn't been pleasant for you. But I need to ask, do you really intend to abandon this village, leave everything behind? He asked, a serious expression on his face. Naruto stood there a moment, then looked back at Hinata. She gave him a sad look before looking down at the floor. Naruto looked back at his father and nodded. I can't leave her. She's the family I never got to have. This village has always treated me poorly, and after what they did I don't know if I can trust them. I know you were the Hokage, and the village means everything to you, but I don't think I can follow that path anymore. Naruto answered. Minato kept his gaze on Naruto for what seemed like an eternity, before smiling and shrugging. Maybe it's for the best. He said, I trust you, Naruto, to do what is best for you. If that means you need to get some space from this place, then I support you fully. He finished with a smile and a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Naruto stared at him for a moment, then embraced him. Arigato, Tusen, Naruto said, tears starting to stream down his face. Minato returned the hug, before pulling away. My time is up here. Before I go I should tell you. If you really are planning on leaving, you should head to Whirlpool country. It's a small island off the eastern coast of the Fire country. It's where your mother was from, where the Uzumaki clan began, he said with a smile. Naruto nodded. Hinata was it? Minato said, looking over at her. Hi, she answered softly. Please take care of my son, Minato said, giving her a wink. I will, she replied without hesitation, to which Minato nodded. You remind me of my wife, Minato said, smiling. You've got a fierceness and determination in your eyes, even with the hardships you've had to endure. What was my mom like? Naruto asked. He had always wondered about his mother. She was a kind and loving woman. He started, then got a sly smile on his face. Although, when you managed to piss her off, things got a little scary. They used to call her the Red Death for a reason, he said, rubbing the back of his head with a sweat drop. Naruto couldn't help but have a small smile on his face. Minato's body started to glow and become translucent. Good luck, you two. And remember Naruto, your mother and I loved you very much, and we wish we could have been around to raise you. No matter what, we are proud of you. Minato said with a smile before vanishing completely. Sayonara, Tusan, Naruto said, whipping his tears off his face. Come on Hinata, let's go, he said, grabbing the scroll from the altar and putting it in his backpack. Hinata only nodded and they both left the compound. They arrived back at the village gates, looking forlornly back. They started to walk past the threshold before Hinata stopped. You can still turn back, Naruto-kun, Hinata said, not looking at him. I've told you already I'm going with you, Naruto affirmed. But you've still got a life here, you can still become Hokage, Hinata said more sadly. Don't you want me to come with you? Naruto asked. Of course I do, Hinata said quickly, looking at him. But it's selfish of me. If you come with me, you'll be giving up your life. She said, everything that happened is my fault, you shouldn't be punished for me. She continued. No it isn't, Naruto said plainly, I'm the demon brat everyone hates. They weren't after you, they were after me. But if I hadn't gotten caught. Enough Hinata, Naruto said. She was taken back a bit by his tone. I'm sorry, he muttered, that came out harsher than I wanted it to. I'm coming with you, that's the end of it, you are my family, I don't want to be anywhere you aren't. He finished. Hinata felt a warmth in her body for the first time since her sister had died. She walked up to Naruto and grabbed onto his hand. Okay, she said, squeezing his hand slightly. They began to walk past the threshold, hand in hand. Where are you guys going? They heard a voice from behind them. They both turned around to see Sasuke standing there, leaning against a pole. How long have you been there? Naruto asked. Sasuke just shrugged, long enough to know what you are doing. Are you here to stop us? Hinata said with a frown. Sasuke stared at the two and noticed their hands joined together. I can see you guys are getting along nicely. Sasuke snorted, nodding his head towards their hands. So? Naruto asked. He was starting to get defensive, clutching Hinata's hand a bit harder. Well, whatever, Sasuke said. If you aren't here to stop us, then what do you want? Naruto asked. Sasuke paused for a moment. I'm coming with you, he said. Both Naruto and Hinata looked at him wide-eyed. What? Why would you do that? Naruto asked. We're a team, aren't we? Sasuke asked, matter-of-factly. Sasuke-kun, we've only been a team for a few days, Hinata said. Yeah. Naruto nodded. So what? Sasuke said, you two are the only people I've ever respected besides my brother. He continued, you guys have power, but you don't flaunt it, I need that. My father is an idiot who only cares about the clan and my mother just does whatever he wants. He looked back towards the village, with a look of disgust on his face. Besides, I need to find my brother. I know he's alive out there somewhere. Sasuke finished. But Sasuke-kun, think about what you'd be leaving behind. Your friends, your family? Hinata said. You've still got one, we don't belong here. Hinata said sadly. Bullshit. Sasuke answered, I just told you, my brother is my only family as far as I'm concerned. I was planning on leaving to find him eventually anyway, this just speeds things up a little bit. You two are the only people I would even come close to calling friends, he said. Are you sure? Naruto asked, staring directly into his eyes. If we leave, we can't come back, he said again, affirming his own reason for leaving. Sasuke stood there, staring at the two of them. I'm sure. I need to find him, Sasuke said. Naruto sighed. Alright, we'll be stronger this way anyway, he said. You okay with this, Hinata? He asked. Hinata thought for a moment. She wasn't really okay with anyone giving up their lives, but she knew there was no talking Sasuke out of it. She nodded her head. Sasuke jumped up into a tree near him, and then came back down with a backpack. I've been watching you guys since your little confession earlier, though, he said with a smirk. Naruto had a vein bulge on his forehead and started to grind his teeth. Hinata squeezed his hand a bit to calm him down. Well, that's how it is, he said to Sasuke. Yeah, I got it. Keep the mushy stuff to a minimum, Sasuke said, walking past them. Both Naruto and Hinata blushed a bit but said nothing. You guys coming? Sasuke said, turning back to them. The two ran up to him. All three of them looked back at the village one last time, their eyes lingering. Naruto stared at the faces of the previous Hokages. He looked at the face of his fathers. "I'll make you proud, Tusen," he said. The three of them soon looked away and began to walk away from the village. The Sandaime Hokage awoke the next day. Something felt off today, but he couldn't quite tell what. He got up from bed and started to head down to his kitchen to make a cup of tea. He passed by the rooms of his two new residents. He noticed both doors were ajar. He took a peek inside Hinata's room and noticed her jacket and headband laying on her bed. He found this curious, she was always seen wearing her jacket. He dismissed the thought and figured she must have been out training with Naruto. He finished up his morning rituals and started to head for the Hokage monument. He waved at villagers who passed him by, as well as to the occasional ninja. He arrived at his office and sat down, getting ready to tackle the mountain of paperwork in front of him. He got started with the first paper when he heard a knock at the door. "Enter," he called out. His assistant walked in. "We've received a report that Naruto Uzumaki, Hinata Hyuga, and Sasuke Uchiha have left the village," she said, concern on her voice. The Hokage looked at her sternly. This was very serious, he had to make sure. "Are you certain?" he asked. "We are still looking for them, Hokage-sama," she said. "Report back to me if you find anything," he said. He turned himself around to face the window. If it was indeed true that they left, he would have to brand them Missing-nin. "I'm sorry, Minato, I couldn't keep him happy," he thought, impatiently waiting for any news. A few hours later, he still had not received any news about the three kids. He had sent several different ANBU squads out searching for them. "I guess it's time," he thought. "Bring me Kakashi Hatake and inform the council I am holding an emergency meeting," he said out loud. No movement was seen, but he knew his ANBU had done as requested. A few moments later, Kakashi entered the Hokage's office. "Hokage-sama," he said as he entered. The Hokage gave him a stern look. "Have you seen any of your team members today?" he asked Kakashi. Kakashi kept looking on deadpan as usual but shook his head. "I didn't have anything for them to do today." Kakashi shrugged. The Hokage took a long drag of his pipe. "Last night the three of them left the village," he said. Kakashi's visible eye went wide, he had not predicted this would happen. "They left?" he asked. "Why?" "We don't know that yet, but I'm calling an emergency council meeting," he said. "When?" Kakashi asked. "Right now, come with me," he said to Kakashi's surprise. The two ninja walked in silence through the Hokage tower until they reached a large set of double doors. The Hokage pushed the doors open to reveal a large table with several seats on either side. Sitting around the table were all the clan heads of Konoha. From Nara, Yamanaka, Aburame, Uchiha, Inuzuka and Akimichi, the only one missing was the previous Hyuga clan head Hiashi. Also seated were the Hokage's advisors. The old man Hamura, accompanied by his teammate Koharu, an elderly woman and former teammate with Hiruzen, the Hokage. To their right was the leader of Root, an older man, with bandages covering his right arm and right eye. This man was none other than Danzo. "What is this about?" Shikaku Nara asked. It was troublesome for him to be there. "Yes, Hiruzen, why have you called us out here on such short notice?" Fugaku Uchiha asked. Hiruzen eyed him suspiciously, as it was his son as well that had disappeared. "I'm surprised, Fugaku," the Hokage said. "I figured you of all people would have noticed." "Noticed what exactly?" Fugaku asked. Hiruzen sighed. "As of last night, Naruto Uzumaki, Hinata Hyuga and Sasuke Uchiha have all left the Hidden Leaf Village." The room was eerily silent for a moment before the clan heads all erupted in chatter at the same time. "What do you mean my son is gone?" Fugaku yelled from his seat. "We should have kept a shorter leash on the Kyuubi," Hamura stated. "The last of the Byakugan lineage must be recovered," Koharu stated. All the clan heads continued to bicker and yell amongst each other before Hiruzen raised his arm for them all to quiet down. "I am pronouncing them all Missing-nin. I will announce this to the other villagers to have them returned alive," he said, glancing at Danzo, who remained passive. "Kakashi," Hiruzen spoke. "Hi," Kakashi replied. "Since this was your team who left, I am considering this your responsibility. You will track them down and bring them back to Konoha," the Hokage said. Kakashi was silent for a moment, all the clan heads looking at him. "Hi, Hokage-sama," Kakashi answered, looking down sadly. How could his team had gone so wrong? Once you bring them back, I want to see the demon brat punished. Fugaku said, it's clearly his fault they all left. Sasuke would not have such poor judgment, he must have been influenced by the Kyuubi. An Uchiha would never stoop so low as to betray his village. Kakashi glared at him, self-righteous prick. He thought but would not dare utter the words. This meeting is adjourned, Kakashi, please stay a moment, I wish to speak with you in private. As the clan heads all shuffled out of the meeting room, he turned to Kakashi. Don't be too hard on them, Kakashi. They all had a tough life, I imagine it was Hinata's recent hardships that prompted all of this, he said. Kakashi looked saddened. He had heard about Hanabi's death, and he knew the pain of a loss all too well. Good luck, Kakashi, bring them back safely, the Hokage said. Kakashi nodded and disappeared. Danzo returned to his root headquarters. It was a dark underground facility where his root ninjas underwent intense training and reconditioning. They are trained from a very young age to forget their emotions. A shinobi has no need for them, there is only the mission. He wandered down a dark hallway, his cane clicking on the ground with every other step. He arrived to a door off to the left. He opened the door to the room. It was dark except for the light coming from the hallway. Inside, a small bed could be seen, a small body laying on it. Danzo-sama, a voice from behind him was heard. He didn't need to turn around to know it was one of his men, clad in a black cloak with a wolf mask covering his face. What is it? He asked. We've spotted the Ninetails, the Hyuga girl as well as the Uchiha boy heading eastward, it replied. Leave them be, the council is dealing with it, he replied. But sir, the member started, what of the Byakugan? It asked. Danzo smiled and moved the blankets away from the sleeping form. We already have what we need here, after all, we can't allow such a strong ability to disappear. Under the blanket lay a sleeping long-haired girl. Laying there was Hanabi Hyuga. Kakashi arrived at the gates of the village. He cut his finger on a sharp point of his vest, enough to draw blood. He ran through a bunch of hand signs and slammed his open palm on the ground. Kuchios, summoning, he said. There was puff of smoke, and as it cleared, 8 figures could be seen. Sitting there on the ground were 8 ninja dogs, all varying in breed. A little pug walked up to Kakashi. What have you got for us, Kakashi? It said. He pulled a headband out of his bag. It was Hinata's that he had recovered from the Hokage's estate. 3 kids have left the village, this belongs to one of them. Split up and search for their scent. The dogs each grabbed a whiff of Hinata's scent and all took off in different directions. I'm coming for you guys. Please just come back quietly, Kakashi thought as he heard one of his dogs pick up the scent. The trio had traveled quickly throughout the night, trying to gain as much distance as possible. Naruto had discussed with them that they should be heading east, towards the coast. He had explained about the land of Whirlpool, where his family had come from. After detailing the encounter they had with Minato, Sasuke had agreed to go there. He didn't even know where to begin to search for Itachi. There was no use in trying to rush things. We should try and set up some traps, and cover our tracks, Sasuke said. They had stopped for a rest, they had traveled all night, and it was now dawn. Why? Naruto asked. Both Hinata and Sasuke looked at him incredulously. We are Missing-nin, though. Someone is obviously going to come searching for us, Sasuke said. Naruto paused to think for a moment. He was right, he hadn't even thought about it. We should be able to take whoever comes at us, he said. Not the point, we want to avoid conflict, not create any. Besides, do you really want to have to kill someone from the Leaf? Sasuke asked, getting agitated. Why would we have to kill them? Naruto asked. Sasuke could swear he was getting dumber by the minute. Because if we don't and they report back where we are, it gets that much more difficult to hide from them, he replied. Naruto crossed his arms and sat there thinking, when suddenly he heard a growl coming from his stomach. He rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. I guess we should find some food, he replied. Sasuke nodded. Hinata, can you use your Byakugan and see if there's anything to eat nearby? Sasuke asked. Hinata nodded and activated her Byakugan. She scanned the area around them and found a small river nearby. There's a river about 1 kilometer south of here, she said, starting to walk in that direction. Sasuke and Naruto got up and followed her. They arrived at the river. It was a small expanse around 6 meters wide with forest on either side. Some small wildlife could be seen wandering about for a drink. The water was clear and flowed from a waterfall slightly upstream. Several fish could be seen swimming through the water. Hinata paused for a moment. Byakugan still active, she could see a large cavern on the other side of the waterfall with a small pond in the center. There is a cave behind the waterfall, she said. We should be able to camp in there without being discovered. The two boys nodded. I'll go gather some firewood, she said, before dropping her Byakugan and walking towards the forest. Naruto quickly came up behind her and placed a hand on her shoulder, turning her around. Are you going to be okay? He asked. She didn't seem like her normal self since that night. She just looked at him with sad eyes. I don't know, she said. Just remember, I love you, Naruto responded, placing a kiss on her lips. She returned the kiss gladly. They broke apart a moment later to Sasuke clearing his throat. I love you too, Naruto-kun, she said lightly, a small smile on her lips. She liked it when he kissed her. It made her feel warm and secure. Like everything would be alright. He gave her a quick hug before turning to Sasuke. What did I say about mushy stuff? Sasuke said. You jealous? Naruto asked with a smirk. Sasuke scoffed, as if, he replied. Although he had to admit, it did look kind of nice. He shook his head, dismissing the thought. Let's fish, he said. You jump in and get them to jump out of the water. I'll hit them with some kunai, Sasuke said. Why don't you jump in, and I throw the kunai? Naruto asked defiantly. Sasuke was starting to get annoyed. Why is everything an argument with you? He asked, even though it was more a statement than a question. Because you think you can boss me around, Naruto answered, glaring at Sasuke. The two of them just stood there glaring at each other for a moment before they both started to get smirks on their faces. They both started to chuckle a bit. Sasuke sighed. Alright, Dobe, what should we do? He asked. This, Naruto said, and he jabbed his fist towards the river. There was an explosion of water and about 20 fish were flying through the air. Sasuke stared with his eyes wide and mouth slightly open. What was he thinking? Sasuke quickly snapped out of it and grabbed 3 kunai from his holder and threw them all with one arm. They each perfectly pierced a fish, pinning them to trees on the other side of the river. Not bad, Sasuke said with a smirk. You too, Naruto said with a grin, holding his arms behind his head. Hinata came rushing back with the firewood. Naruto-kun, Sasuke-kun, I heard an explosion. Are you guys okay? She asked, a bit frantic. Naruto just chuckled. Sorry, Hinata, we were just doing some fishing, he answered. She looked at the two of them deadpan, then her face returned to neutral, with a slight frown. She was not amused by their antics. I've got the firewood, she said, slight annoyance in her voice as she walked into the cave. Looks like you made her angry, Sasuke said matter-of-factly. At least she's feeling something, Naruto said under his breath. The two of them walked into the cave behind Hinata. The cave was dark, with a small amount of light trickling through from the waterfall. The cave was fairly large, going up farther than they could see with the limited light. It was round with, not going any further in. There was a pool of water in the center, leading out of the cave. Hinata had found a circular spot at the other end of the cave to place the firewood. Naruto and Sasuke walked up and took their places around the logs. Naruto stuck out his hand and a small ball of fire erupted and lit the logs. Sasuke had retrieved the fish from earlier and set them up on branches, hanging over the fire to cook them. The three of them sat in silence, waiting for the food to cook. Hinata had pulled out one of her scrolls and was reading up on basic water walking. Sasuke had also brought some scroll with him that he had relieved from the Uchiha library. Most of them pertaining to the Sharingan and some high-level fire jutsu. Watching them both looking at their scroll, Naruto decided to pull out the one he retrieved from his father. He placed his hands over the seam of the scroll and attempted to move it, but it would not budge. He started to pull harder, grunting while doing so. Hinata looked over to him. Naruto-kun, she started, there must be a protective seal on it. She finished. He pondered that for a moment before noticing the same symbol that was on the cup in the study. He bit his finger and let a drop of blood drop onto the seal. The seal glowed with some lettering before disappearing. Naruto then pulled on the scroll and much to his relief, it opened. He started to unravel the scroll and noticed a letter, written by his father. Naruto. If you are reading this scroll, it means I'm not around to teach you these things myself. For that I'm sorry. I wrote this scroll in the event that something were to happen to me. Inside you will find all of my jutsu, including Hiraishin. You will also find a seal later in that contains several of my special 3-pronged kunai. Use them well. Hopefully your mother is still with you even if I am not. If not, then you should know that we both love you, from the bottom of our hearts. Please keep yourself safe and become a ninja that you are proud to be. I'm proud of you. Minato Namikaze. Naruto finished reading the letter and began to tear up. He quickly whipped the tears from his eyes. Getting emotional, are we? Sasuke teased. Shut up, moron, Naruto said with a smile. Even Hinata had a small smile on her face. He unscrolled further to find detailed information about all his father's techniques. He stopped on the first one, Kage Bunshin, Shadow Clone. He noted the hand signs required and did them in his mind. There was a small puff of smoke, and standing next to Naruto was an identical copy of himself. Sasuke and Hinata both looked at it with wide eyes. Cool, Naruto said, looking at the clone. Sasuke paused for a moment, then activated his Sharingan. He looked at the clone in awe. Naruto, he said, that's not an illusion, it has a physical form, Sasuke said with awe. Hinata frowned and activated her Byakugan. It was as he said, the clone had its own chakra network. She was impressed by this. Normally her Byakugan could see through small illusions. That's incredible, Naruto-kun, she said. He kept growing stronger by leaps and bounds. She would need to step up her training if she wanted to keep up with him. I could probably make about 1,000 of these if the amount is consistent, Naruto said. He looked down on the page and saw a warning on the jutsu. His chakra would be split evenly between the clones and to use it wisely or else he would die from chakra exhaustion. Naruto made a mental note of this and dispelled the clone. He was starting to look at the next item, the Rasengan, when he could smell the fish cooking and began to make his mouth water. Forget this, he said, tossing the scroll to the side. I'm hungry, he yelled, grabbing a fish and digging in. Hinata suppressed a giggle and Sasuke rolled his eyes. They both grabbed a fish each and began to eat. The trio had decided to sleep off some of the day and continue their trek later at night. They wanted to gain some distance, but they were exhausted from running all night. Naruto had the most energy still left, so agreed to be the first watch. They didn't need to leave the cave, but they did need to keep an ear out for any pursuers. The day went by peacefully. Hinata had just started her watch after Sasuke. Naruto awoke groggily and sat up, hair all disheveled. He got up and started to wander out of the cave. Where are you going? Sasuke asked, half asleep. Gotta pee, Naruto answered in the same way. Sasuke just grunted as Naruto walked out of the cave. He decided to wander a ways away to do his business. He was about to get started when he heard some light splashing coming from down the river a bit, which caught his attention. He slowly walked up and peered through some bushes, hiding behind a tree. Standing there, on top of the water, was a girl, with short dark hair, body completely naked. Her pale skin reflecting the dim sunlight. Naruto looked on in wonder as she started twirling around, water seemingly dancing around her in droplets. The longer he stared, he started to realize her features: slender but fit arms and legs. Small bust on her chest, small curvy hips. As she started to spin slower, Naruto soon began to recognize who it was exactly he was looking at. Hinata? He thought. His face immediately turned crimson. He attempted to duck away quickly, lest she figure out he was there. In his haste he stepped on a branch, causing it to break under his foot. His eyes went wide as he heard Hinata squeak a bit and then a splash. He decided he was better off if he wasn't there, and quickly ran back to the camp. Hinata emerged from the water, her face beet red. Did he see me? She wondered in her head. After she heard the branch, she had activated her Byakugan only to discover Naruto sitting behind the bushes. She had tried to hide herself quickly and noticed he had ran away. She climbed out of the river, dried herself off and quickly got dressed, returning to the cave. When she arrived back, Naruto was in his sleeping bag, seemingly sound asleep. She walked up to his sleeping bag, to wake him so they could get on the move. As she reached down to touch him, he suddenly sprang upwards and pulled her down on top of him. She squeaked for a moment, but then was held tightly in his embrace. Naruto-kun? She asked, face pressed against his chest. I'm sorry, Hinata, he said, I saw you dancing in the water. Both of their faces redder than tomatoes. But you know, he continued, you are really beautiful, he said, smiling at her. She quickly jerked her head up and looked at him with a shine in her eyes. She slowly leaned up and pressed her lips into his. She started to deepen the kiss, pushing harder against his lips. He smiled into the kiss. They slowly relented, only to crash back together again. Naruto licking her lips, asking for entrance, she hesitantly obliged, tongues exploring each other's mouths. Hinata moaned softly at the contact, making Naruto want to continue this forever. They continued this for a few moments before they heard an annoyed grunt from in the cave. They both pulled apart lightning fast. Sasuke was sitting up, with his stuff packed, eyes closed with a vein on his forehead. He said, stop pretending I'm not here. Naruto and Hinata both blushed, and he loosened his grip on her. She slowly got up from on top of him. Sorry, Naruto muttered. Sasuke just sighed. Let's get going, we've got some distance to travel and whoever is pursuing us is likely getting closer, he said. They both nodded and packed their belongings before leaving the cave. Before leaving, Sasuke placed a genjutsu trap on the area. He had learned a few from studying the scrolls. It was nothing drastic, but enough to buy them some time. Kakashi had arrived to a waterfall, following his dogs. They had started to wander around the area, unsure of where to go. They must have spent some time here, Kakashi thought. Their scent is all over the place. He looked around for a while before noticing some footprints heading into the waterfall. He followed them and discovered a cave, hidden behind it. He entered the dark area and could smell the faint odor of a campfire as well as fish. He walked over and found some charcoal where the kids' fire had been. Fairly recently, it was still warm. They should only be a couple of hours ahead of him. He looked deeper into the cave and saw that it went deeper. He looked around and figured they must have gone deeper if their trail stopped here. He decided to continue heading deeper into the cave. He needed to catch up to them and bring them back safely. Kakashi continued to run through the cave, heading deeper and deeper. He jumped across a small river in the cave and was brought to a fork. He paused for a moment, trying to pick up their scent. He followed it through the left fork and continued. The path kept winding around every which way, seemingly endlessly. He had been running for what felt like hours before he came to another river, which he jumped across, which led to another fork in the tunnels, the scent again, coming from the left fork. He stopped running and looked down both corridors. He had a sinking feeling in his stomach. He pulled up his headband, revealing his Sharingan in his left eye. His eyes went wide momentarily before he sighed. They had tricked him good. He had been running in an illusion for hours now. He put his hands together in a ram's seal and shouted Kai. The walls started to shimmer, and the fork in the tunnel disappeared. Kakashi looked behind him to see the river he had just crossed was the exit to the cave, at the waterfall. He quickly jumped out of the cave, back to where his dogs were waiting. What took you so long, Kakashi? The pug asked. Ran into a small setback, Kakashi answered. How did I fall for that? He wondered. We've caught their scent, they are continuing east. Another dog said. Lead the way, Kakashi said as the dogs began to run again, Kakashi keeping up at full speed. He left his Sharingan active. I won't fall for that again, Kakashi thought as they continued to pursue the kids. Naruto, Sasuke and Hinata had arrived at a small port, on the coast of the Fire Country. They had traveled all night, trying to stay a pace ahead of their pursuer. Before entering the village, Sasuke stopped them all. We should have disguises, Sasuke said. Hinata nodded her approval, and to Sasuke's surprise so did Naruto. Sasuke put his hands together in a ram's seal, henge. He muttered. He turned into a boy with plain features and straight brown hair, wearing plain civilian clothing. Hinata performed the same jutsu and turned into plain girl with long blonde hair and blue eyes. Like that doesn't remind of someone, Sasuke thought, smirking. They both looked at Naruto expectantly. He looked at them sheepishly. I was never very good at that one, Naruto said. I can only transform into one thing, Naruto said, pressing his fingers together like Hinata. Well, transform then, Sasuke said. Oiroku no jutsu, sexy jutsu, Naruto said. In a puff of smoke he visualized a busted and curvy female form. His mind slipped for a moment, and he thought of seeing Hinata on the water the day before. When the smoke cleared, standing there was a fully nude Hinata with thin lines of smoke covering the important bits. Naruto-kun! She yelled with a massive blush on her face. Sasuke closed his eyes shut in annoyance with a vein bulging on his forehead. Naruto quickly dispelled the technique, waving his hands in front of him. I'm sorry! I don't know what happened, my mind just started to wander, and he trailed off as Hinata just looked at him with a deep blush and angry eyes. She was annoyed that he had turned into her like that, but secretly, she felt a tiny sliver of happiness that he thought of her that way. Oh, Adobe, stop goofing around and do it properly, Sasuke said angrily. Yeah, Naruto said before another puff of smoke. This time he had got it right. He turned into a busted blonde girl with pigtails and blue eyes, this time, fully clothed. He still had his whisker marks on his face. Still stupid, but that will pass, I guess, Sasuke said with a snort. Okay, we're going to be using fake names here. What are ours? Sasuke asked. Hinata thought for a moment. I'll be Kamachi, she said. I'll be Taki, Sasuke replied. I'll be Naruto, Naruto answered. The other two had a sweat drop at this. That was the best you could come up with? Sasuke said. Hey, I like my name, Naruto answered defensively. Change it, Naruto, it's too close to your actual name, he said. But he started to argue before Hinata placed a hand on his arm. Please, Naruto-kun, Hinata said. Even though it wasn't her actual face he was looking at, he still felt compelled to do what she asked. Okay, he looked over at the ocean. He said. Sasuke sighed, it'll have to do. He got up and ushered the group to head into the small town. The trio wandered around the small town, still in their disguises, looking for someone to ferry them to the island. They had asked several merchants and fishermen about the island, but everyone seemed to want to keep quiet about it. They had either never heard of the place or refused to speak about it. They stopped at a small restaurant in order to come up with a better plan. Umi sighed. We've had no luck all day, she whined. Now, Umi-san, we'll just have to find another way to get there, Toki said with a smile on his face. They were in public, he needed to keep up a charade. But how can we get there? Nobody in town wants to give us a ride, Kamachi chimed in. What if Umi started? They were discussing various ways of getting to the island when a hooded figure stood up from another part of the restaurant and walked towards them. Where do you need to go? A gruff voice said from beneath the hood. They could barely see the man's face. He had visible scars on his mouth and chin, but the hood was covering everything else. The trio all looked at each other briefly before Umi answered slowly. We want to go to the Whirlpool Island, she said. The man stiffened. You shouldn't be looking to go places you aren't wanted. The man said, that island is cursed. He finished. Can you take us there? Umi asked, putting her finger to her lip, trying to act cute. Cut the act, blondie. The man retorted, to which she was briefly taken aback. Yeah, I can, but it'll cost you. Why do you want to go? He asked. We had some relatives who lived there, Kamachi said. The man scoffed. Nobody has lived on that island for decades. Now I'll ask again, why do you want to go, and don't lie to me? He said, pulling down his hood. The three gasped a little at him. He had scars, all around his face, in every which direction. One of his eyes was gray, a sign he couldn't see out of it, the other eye was blue. Because that island is no place for three young ones like yourselves. The three looked at each other and nodded. My family was originally from there, Umi said. I want to see where they came from. She looked at the man with a look of determination. The hardened man stared back for a moment and smiled, giving out a chuckle. Kids these days, he said. All right, I'll take you, but be warned, it's a one-way trip, you'll have to find your own way back. We stay away from there for a reason, the man said. How are we to get back, sir? Taki said innocently. Don't know, don't care, I'm the only one in town willing to go there at all. I've heard of you three about town. He paused. It'll be 5,000 yen. Each. Umi's eyes bugged out of her head. 5,000? She asked, incredulously. Calm down, Umi-chan, Kamachi said softly. She looked back at the man. We have the money, she continued. She reached into her backpack and pulled out 3 5,000 yen notes. Umi and Taki both looked at her with surprise. Where did she get that much money? The man nodded and grabbed for the money, which Kamachi pulled away. We'll give you a third now, and you can have the rest once we're on the island, she said, staring at him. He looked at her for a moment, slightly annoyed, before shrugging. You're the boss, he said as she handed him one of the notes. Follow me, he said, leading them out of the restaurant. Hinata, where did you get that money? Umi asked, whispering. The Hyuga were very wealthy. I took some of the money when I went to retrieve my scrolls, Kamachi answered, whispering back. They arrived at a small fishing ship, nets and hooks strewn about. Let's go quickly, the sooner we get this done the better, he said. The trio hopped onto the boat, and he started to sail away. It will be about a half a day's ride to get there, he said. Thank you again, sir, Taki said. May I ask, what's your name? The man paused for a moment. Most people just call me Yuzu, the man said. The trio froze and looked at him. Yuzu as in the island we're going to? Taki asked. You're sharp, kid. My full name is Jin Uzumaki, he said. Uzumaki, Umi said, eyes wide. Both Taki and Kamachi looked at her, eyes wide, wondering what she was going to do. So, are you a ninja? Taki said, trying to distract Umi. Don't blow this, Naruto, Sasuke thought. Jin got a look of disgust on his face, before spitting on the ground. Not a chance in hell. It was because of those ninjas that I don't have a home to go back to, he said. Ami seemed hurt by this statement. Kamachi walked up and gave her a hug. The group all fell silent, nobody knowing exactly what to say. You guys should get some rest. I can tell you are exhausted, even with those disguises, Jean said. The three ninja all snapped their eyes to Jean. What disguises? Kamachi asked innocently. Jean looked at her incredulously. I've been around ninja long enough to know when they're in disguise. Your body language is all wrong, you all seem always with your guard up. The three of all looked at each other. Taki sighed. I guess there's no point in hiding it, he said. All three of them dropped their disguises in puffs of smoke. Jean looked at Naruto. Why'd you turn into a girl? He asked. Naruto mumbled, it's the only one I can do. Jean let out a laugh. Sorry kid, I was just joking with you. I've seen worse transformations, he said. Naruto grumbled and crossed his arms. Jean sighed. Go get some sleep you three, it'll be a while. The trio set up their bags and they all quickly fell asleep. Naruto awoke several hours later. He could feel the ship rocking underneath him. The sun bright in the sky. He looked around and noticed his team still asleep. He looked up to see Jean sitting on the edge of the boat, steering it. He got up and went to sit on the railing next to him. Jean acknowledged him with a nod but said nothing. They both sat there in silence for a few minutes before Naruto spoke. What do you know about the Uzumaki? He asked, looking down. Why do you want to know? Jean asked, looking at him suspiciously. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, he said, frowning and looking directly at him. Jean breathed in sharply, looking away at the horizon. He then sighed. We were a large clan, going way back to the days before the hidden villages existed. He started. We were great at sealing, better than great. It was a bloodline that was passed down, which I'm sure you've noticed, he said, looking at Naruto, to which the boy just nodded. Except one day, that gift, he said with disgust, turned against us. We became too powerful for the world. They feared our existence, the clan was attacked and ultimately destroyed. The lone few survivors scattered throughout the world, he said. I wasn't a ninja in the clan, just a villager, but I still carried the name, he said with a solemn look on his face. It's how I got this mug, he said, pointing to his face. The ninja world is cruel, he said. I was just a boy at the time. Naruto sat there, hanging on every word, saddened by this news but also angered. Why would they just decide to eradicate a clan like that? Thinking about that, he looked over at Hinata, remembering the exact same thing happened to her family. Which side of your family was the Uzumaki? Jean asked suddenly. Naruto looked up at him. My mom, he said with a sad smile. Jean stroked his chin for a moment. What was her name? He asked. Kushina Uzumaki, Naruto answered. He had seen her name written a few times in the scroll his father had left him. Jean sighed and shook his head. Sorry kid, I don't know her. She's still alive? He asked. Naruto slowly shook his head. No, she died giving birth to me, he said sadly. He knew it was a lie, but it was better than telling a stranger about the Kyuubi. Shame, Jean said. Sorry kid. They both sat there in silence for a few moments. Best wake your group, we're arriving shortly, he said, nodding towards the other two. Naruto ran over to the other two and gently woke them up. Not 30 minutes later they arrived on shore. The trio disembarked from the ship onto the island of Whirlpool. Hinata handed Jean the last 2 notes. Thank you for the trip, she said, bowing to him. He paused for a moment. Take care of yourselves. I wouldn't linger too long in this place, he said, hopping back into his ship. Naruto, he said, make our name mean something again, he said, pushing away from the shore. Naruto nodded and pushed his fist out towards him. Jean nodded and his ship started to float away. The trio turned around, walking up a slight incline. They arrived at the top and could only look on in wonder at the sight before them. Stone walls and monuments, all lying in ruin before them. Some large, some small, all overgrown with moss and various vegetation. Shops, houses, schools, all could be seen in various states of disarray. They had finally arrived at the ruins of the once prestigious and powerful Uzumaki clan. Naruto, Hinata and Sasuke stood there in wonder at what they were looking at. Ruins as far as the eye could see. The island was not terribly large, but it would take several hours to go from one end to the other, and they had no idea what they were looking for. Naruto heard some growling in his head. He retreated to his mindscape. What's up? Naruto asked, arriving in front of Kurama's cage. I'm assuming that growl came from you. I don't like this place, kid. There's an ominous power here. It's strong but dormant, Kurama said in reply. So? Naruto replied. Just watch yourself, something is here, I'm just not sure what its intent is, Kyuubi replied. Naruto nodded. He was not going to take the Kyuubi's warning lightly. If it was enough to make the nine-tailed fox uneasy, then he should heed the advice. He returned back to the world. Naruto-kun? Hinata asked, looking over to him. Are you okay? You spaced out, she said concerned. I'm okay, I was just talking with the fox, he said with a grin. What did he say? Sasuke asked, a slight tone to his voice. Naruto paused a moment. He says there's some kind of dormant power here. And why should we trust what he says? Sasuke asked, venom in his voice. He didn't trust the fox, it was a demon after all. For all he knew, it could be trying to manipulate them into releasing him, or something. Naruto glared at Sasuke. He's been with me since I was born, he's watched over me and shared my hardships. I consider him my friend. If he says there's a power here, then there is, and it's making even him uneasy, Naruto answered. I don't trust him, Sasuke said. What if he's just manipulating you to be set free again? Naruto was about to answer when he heard Kurama's voice in his head. Switch with me, Kit, I'll talk to the damn Uchiha, he said. Naruto nodded. He wants to talk to you, Naruto said with a smirk. He looked over at Hinata. Don't be afraid of what you see, okay? He said. She nodded at him. Naruto closed his eyes. His whisker marks became more pronounced, his claws became sharper. When he opened his eyes, the usual deep blue was replaced by a blood red with slits, the fox's eyes. Listen here, Uchiha brat. The voice that came out of Naruto's mouth was not his own, but a much deeper, powerful sound. Hinata and Sasuke both shivered at the sound. I have no intention of leaving this host. I made a promise to his father that I would protect him, and that is what I intend to do, he said. Sasuke just stared for a moment, a little afraid of what he was seeing, before his gaze became a scowl. And why should I believe what you say? Sasuke asked. You really are stubborn, aren't you? Okay then, I'll tell you something interesting. Those eyes of yours, the ones you are so proud of, have some limited control over us beasts. If you truly suspect I'm going to do something to harm any of you, you can use those eyes to stop me. Understand? Kyuubi said. He didn't particularly like giving him that information, but he didn't want the kid to be mistrusting of his host. If they didn't trust each other, they wouldn't make an effective team, putting Naruto in danger. Sasuke continued to glare at the possessed Naruto. TCH, he said, fine. Sasuke relented. Kyuubi smirked, and the possession ended. Naruto's whisker marks receded to normal and his eyes became blue again. Satisfied? Naruto asked. HNN, Sasuke answered before looking back towards the ruins. So where is this power he spoke of? Naruto looked a bit sheepish. Well, I don't really know, we'll have to find it, he said, rubbing the back of his head. Hinata walked up and grabbed his hand. Let's get looking then, she said. He squeezed her hand back and they all started to move into the ruins. Kakashi was jumping through the trees, following the scent. He had been severely delayed by the little stunt they had pulled over on him at the cave. He was determined not to allow that to happen again. He had been traveling without incident for a few hours. Seems like they had given up trying to stall him. They were underestimating him, he was sure of it. He knew that if he had to fight the three of them, it wouldn't be as easy for them this time. He knew what they were capable of now, and he would not be taking it easy on them. During their training session, he had discounted their abilities, thinking of them as mere genin in a training session. Once they proved their teamwork, he had let them win, but now, this was going to be different. He wasn't going to go easy on them. He noticed a small port town up ahead where the scent was leading. He jumped down from the trees and started to head in on foot. If they had come here, someone would have more information than him blindly looking. He slung his headband over his Sharingan, covering it up. He had briefly scanned the village with it earlier and determined there were no traps. He casually entered the village, dismissing his dogs. He had a fairly good nose, not as good as an Inuzuka, but he could manage. He tracked their scent to a small restaurant. He went inside and took a seat at the bar. The bartender, a bearded grizzly man, washing a cup, turned to him with a sour look on his face. What you want? He asked, cleaning a glass. Sake. Kakashi replied. It was clear, this man did not like his presence. TCH, he replied, grabbing a cylindrical container and handing it to Kakashi. 800 yen, he said. Kakashi looked at him for a moment before sighing and pulling the cash out of his pack. Handing it to the man, he says, "Don't care much for ninja?" The man hesitantly took his money. "The ninja world hasn't been kind to this village," he said, "and I can tell by your headband there that you are from Konoha. You guys are supposed to be protecting us, but instead, you just use this port however you see fit." He finished with a scowl on his face. Kakashi pulled down his mask, taking a sip of the sake. "Sorry about that." "Whatever," he said. "What brings you out here anyway?" he asks. "Looking for some friends," Kakashi answered nonchalantly. "2 boys and a girl, all about 12 years old. One boy is black-haired with black eyes, carries a bit of arrogance about him. A shy girl, dark hair, lavender pupilless eyes. Although she's probably hiding that the last boy is blonde, blue eyes and has whisker marks on his face." Kakashi said. "You seen them?" The bartender thought for a moment. "I saw a girl with blonde hair and whisker marks, traveling with 2 companions, but they didn't look anything like the other 2 you described," he said. "How long ago?" Kakashi asked, replacing his mask on his face. They must be in disguise, he thought. "Yesterday. Seen them talking to Yuzu, hooded guy in the corner," he said. "Hey Yuzu, you!" the man shouted. The hooded man looked up. "This guy here wants to talk to you," he yelled again, from across the bar. The hooded man sighed, but got up and walked towards Kakashi, pulling down his hood. "What?" he said, "and make it quick, I have work to do." Kakashi looked at him indifferently. The bartender spoke up. "Those 3 kids here yesterday are friends of his," he said. Yuzu looked at Kakashi. "That's so?" he said. Kakashi smiled at him from under his mask. "I'm worried about them. Do you know where they went?" he said. Yuzu glared at him. "Funny, they didn't mention you," he said icily. The 2 men stared at each other for a moment. Yuzu glaring, Kakashi passive. "We had a bit of a falling out," Kakashi said, shrugging. "I'm sure they're a little mad at me right now. They left in a bit of a hurry. I just want to make sure they are safe," he said, crossing his arms. "They're alive," Yuzu said. "I've got work to do," he said, leaving the bar. Kakashi watched the man leave the bar. He decided to follow him. Kakashi trailed him to a small boat, tied to the pier. "You're persistent," Yuzu said, looking straight at Kakashi's hiding place. Kakashi walked out, hands in his pockets. "Not bad," he said. "You might be able to fool the villagers around here, but not me. You're a ninja, aren't you?" he said. Yuzu glared at him, before looking away. "How did you know?" Kakashi just shrugged. "A hunch," he said. "Please tell me where you took them. It's important." "They aren't here," Yuzu said. Kakashi sighed. I didn't want to do this. In an instant he was behind Yuzu, aiming a chop at the back of his head. Yuzu ducked and aimed a kick at Kakashi, who backed away, only to be surprised when a small ball of fire came out of Yuzu's foot and hit him in the stomach. "Not bad," Kakashi said before disappearing in a puff of smoke. Yuzu spun around, grabbing Kakashi's fist, aimed at his head. Kakashi looked surprised and backed up a bit, breaking away. Yuzu punched the air in front of him, sending a hard gust of air straight at Kakashi, causing him to raise his arms to shield himself from the blast. Yuzu jumped into the air. He pulled his hands to his mouth and blew a fireball at his ship, lighting in a blaze. "You won't find them," Yuzu said before landing in the water. Kakashi jumped onto the dock, pulling out his Sharingan, looking through the water. "Damn it," he said, looking through the clear surface. No sign of Yuzu underneath. The ninja trio had been searching the ruins for a few hours, combing through buildings, looking for anything unusual. So far, they had little result. They had stumbled across what they suspected was an old library that had yielded a few jutsu scrolls as well as some history, but not the power they had been warned about. Sasuke had split up from the 2, to do some searching on his own. He could see Naruto and Hinata holding hands constantly, and it had started to irritate him. He wasn't entirely sure why, but he needed some space to just think. Naruto and Hinata watched him break away. Just as Hinata was about to call out to him, she was pulled into a nearby building by Naruto. He spun her so that her back was against a wall, and he was in front of her. Nearer she started before she was silenced by Naruto kissing her. She was shocked for a moment before she returned the kiss happily. They broke apart a moment later. "What was that for?" she asked with a small smile. "You always smile after I kiss you. I wanted to see you smile," he said with a grin on his face. He had noticed she had not smiled much since that night after their mission. A small blush crossed her face as she leaned into his chest. I love you, she said. She was glad that he was there for her right now, that he loved her. I love you too, Haim, he said, hugging her close. He broke the hug briefly, lifting her chin. Deep blue eyes staring into soft lavender ones. Hinata could see the love for her in his eyes. In that moment, she felt a warmth she had never felt before. She leaned up and closed the distance between them, in a passionate kiss. Oh, for Kami's sake. They heard a voice behind them. They both broke apart, looking behind them to see a very angry Sasuke standing there. Can you two seriously not hold back for a few days? He asked, almost yelling. Naruto was about to retort when Hinata spoke up. Sorry, Sasuke-kun. We'll take it easy, right, Naruto-kun? She said, looking up at him. He wanted to argue, to tell Sasuke off, but the look she was giving him said it was not up for discussion. Fine. He mumbled out. Okay? Hinata said, turning to Sasuke. He looked at her with a raised eyebrow for a moment before nodding. HNN, he said, can you check out something with your Byakugan, Hinata? He asked. She nodded and activated her Byakugan. She started looking around her, at first not seeing anything, but then she could see it, a small speck off in the distance. There's something about 10 kilometers northwest of here, just on the range of my vision, she said. Sasuke nodded. I thought so. Something was drawing me in that direction, so I activated my Sharingan. I can't see as far as you, but there is this weird chakra all around the place, he said. Naruto just looked at both of them confused. He had no idea what they were talking about. What are you guys talking about? He asked. They both looked at him for a moment, not believing what he just said. The power dobe, Sasuke said. Naruto's eyes lit up. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go, he said, running out of the building before he stopped and looked back at them sheepishly. Which way is northwest? He asked. Sasuke sighed and Hinata let out a small giggle. They both joined up with Naruto, and Hinata started to lead the way. It didn't take them long to reach the power source, as the closer they got the more Hinata could see it. The closer they got the more Kurama started to feel restless. The power was growing. It was several times more powerful than it was before, even while dormant. The three ninjas found themselves standing in front of a temple. Large stone structure, towering above the rest, with great pillars in the front. A large archway, with a set of double doors, was in front, the Uzumaki clan symbol carved into the stone above the doors. Not a single vine or out-of-place stone could be seen. Hinata had to deactivate her Byakugan. There was a strong chakra around this place, lighting up her vision. It was even too much for Sasuke to bear. He had to deactivate his Sharingan as well. Naruto walked up and placed his hands on the doors and began to push. They started to open effortlessly. He began to walk into the temple, Hinata and Sasuke walking behind him. As they were about to breach the threshold, they suddenly stopped. Naruto stopped and turned around. What's wrong, guys? He asked. I can't move, Hinata said, almost panicked. Me neither, Sasuke said, much calmer. Looks like you are on your own, Naruto. Naruto gulped. What about you guys? He asked. Sasuke noticed he was able to take a step backwards. Looks like only an Uzumaki is allowed in there. He said, don't worry about us, we'll be fine. Naruto looked at Hinata with scared eyes. I believe in you, Naruto-kun, she said, looking straight at his eyes. Naruto felt confidence well up inside him. He nodded. Yash. I'll be out quickly, Naruto said before turning his back towards them and heading deeper into the temple. The torches along the pillars started to light as he walked past them. It was eerie, but strangely he felt calm. He was on alert, but nothing felt hostile. He approached a wall with the statue of a man. Below him was a stone tablet with writing. Those of Whirlpool blood, present an offering of flesh and be granted sanctuary. Naruto paused for a moment. Offering of flesh, he thought. He was then reminded of the scroll in the cup, bit his finger and let a drop fall onto the altar in front of the tablet. There was a rumbling as the whole temple shook. Naruto looked around panicked until he noticed the statue was starting to move backwards. After a few moments the shaking stopped and underneath the statue was a staircase. Naruto slowly started to wander down. Naruto, he heard Kurama in his head. Be careful, I'm losing consciousness. Hey, you okay? Naruto thought out loud, but got silence in return. This made him shiver. He was truly alone in here. He finished descending the stairs and arrived in a small room. On the opposite end was an altar with something sitting atop it. He approached and noticed it was a headband, black, with the Uzumaki symbol in white along the front. He picked it up curiously, something compelled him to do so. He started to slowly place it on his head, tying it up. The symbol shone brightly, forcing Naruto to shut his eyes. He began to open them as the light started to fade. He could only gape at what he saw. Standing before him was an older man with long white hair and a white goatee. He wore a headband with the Uzumaki symbol on it, 2 swords strapped to his back. He wore gray armor similar to that of the first Hokage. Who are you? Naruto asked, bewildered. I am Ashina Uzumaki, leader of the Uzumaki clan. The man spoke. What's going on? Naruto asked. I am here to test your resolve, to see if you are worthy of inheriting the advanced bloodline of the Uzumaki clan. Naruto stood there, eyes wide, staring at the man in front of him. Resolve? Worthy? What was this man talking about? Test my resolve? Naruto asked. Indeed. We will fight. If you are able to defeat me, I will consider you worthy of inheriting our bloodline and bestow upon you the next step of the Uzumaki, he said. You must come at me with intent to kill, or you will perish. Next step? Naruto thought, confused. What is that supposed to mean? Ashina began to unsheath his swords. They were ninjatos, short swords. Both swords were pure white on the blades, with black lettering running down them, white wrappings along the hilts. Prepare yourself, he said, taking a fighting stance, one arm above and slightly behind his head, with the sword pointing forward, his other arm in front with the blade pointing upwards. Naruto quickly came out of his stupor, pulling a kunai out of his pouch and holding it in a reverse grip. Both ninja eyed each other intently, either saying a word, seizing each other up. Without warning, 5 Naruto clones rushed out at Ashina. He calmly waited for them to arrive. The first clone went for a quick jab to the abdomen. Ashina swung the sword over his head downward, cleaving the clone in 2. He then swung his other sword in a circle around him, turning his whole body. A shock wave was emitted from the sword swing, destroying the other 4 clones and forcing Naruto to brace against the hit. Such power! Naruto thought. The man had barely moved and had effortlessly destroyed all his clones. Ashina decided he was no longer going to wait. In an instant he was in front of Naruto, swinging his swords. Naruto ducked one sword swipe and blocked the next with his kunai. He stomped his foot on the ground, causing a small wall of earth to come up, separating the two. Naruto flipped backwards and landed on his feet. He watched as Ashina struck the wall with one of his swords and it crumbled into dust. One of the swords began to glow orange, while the other, white. Ashina stuck the glowing white sword into the ground and some bolts of electricity began to snake their way across the ground towards Naruto. He jumped up into the air. Ashina then swung his other sword towards Naruto and a crescent of fire erupted from his blade, heading straight towards him. Naruto put his hands in front of him and a ball of water flew out, colliding with the fire, extinguishing it. Naruto then had 2 clones appear. He then clapped his hands together, and the clones were flung at great speed with a gust of wind towards Ashina. One clone grabbed onto this arm that had the sword in the ground, the other grabbed his other arm. Naruto put chakra into his feet, summoned another clone and jumped off of it towards Ashina. He arrived in front of him, a blue ball of chakra, glowing in his hand. Rasengan! He yelled, plunging the ball into the man's chest. He was sent flying backwards, leaving the one sword still stuck on the ground. He collided with the wall at the other end of the room and stood up as if nothing had happened. Naruto gripped the sword on the ground and pulled it out, spinning it around and then wielding it in front of him. Impressive. Ashina said, however, this is far from over. Both fighters lunged towards each other, swords colliding in the middle. Naruto pushed the swords downward, raising it back up with a swing to Ashina's shoulder. He blocked easily and countered with a swing of his own, which Naruto parried. This exchange went on for quite some time, before Naruto made a mistake. As he was bringing his sword down, Ashina brought his up with enough force to send the sword flying out of his hands and into the ceiling. Ashina then brought his sword in a downward slash, the tip of which cut across his chest from shoulder to hip. Naruto groaned in pain, jumping backwards to distance himself, clutching a hand to his chest. He looked down panting, blood lightly running through his fingers. The cut wasn't deep, but it also was not healing. He looked down at his hands frantically. Your beast will not help you in here, Ashina said calmly. Naruto looked up at him with wild eyes before frowning. I'm not done yet, Naruto said before a dozen clones popped into existence.